doctorate in history. He knows four languages
What the
on a
fuck?
doctorate level, including Latin, Latin, Sanskrit, Japanese, which he actually did for his masters, and what was the other one that he also did? It's one of a medieval. It's like So he's a proper historian. Like you should watch his videos. It's really cool. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, university has pushed me pretty far along the spectrum in terms of getting a sword and training with it using HEMA. I mean,
Man.
I'm one of those guys where working out is very boring to me, so I need some sort of combat element integrated into it to get me to do it on a regular basis. It has to be fun in some sort of way, and training with sword or doing more combat martial arts, like swimming is fun. I can go swimming every day, not like, but when it comes to like walking on a treadmill, I just want to die. Like the entire time I'm doing.
Oh,
I just want.
when I exercise,
Ever
I
listening
always
to
have
music?
like an EPAP episode playing or something. Like I need to watch something.
I always have music or podcast when I work out.
Well,
100%.
I've got psychology degree, but I don't think, or honors, sorry. But I don't think I told you I am Shotokan black belt.
Yeah.
Neat.
I'm a
Shotokan?
sensei.
What is just shot?
Karate.
Oh my god! So unironically, I can call you sensei.
That was actually a nickname for a while. The new nickname came from a friend from mine on another server. He just started calling me Papa like 5 years ago because I think it was doing it ironically, to be honest.
Ooh.
He's calling me Papa because like when there were fights in the chat.
You need to change your name to Papa Sensei now.
I have to be Sensei Gi. Sensei Papa Gi.
Yeah. Sensei Papa Gi. God damn.
I'll be here,
fuck?
All right, we'll see when you get back. But yeah, I've been seriously considering getting one of their swords that they recommend from one of their distributors, and training.
Like an actual metal sword, or like a
Well, I would have a one training sword that's blunt and dull until I get like some practice in, and then I'd have like a real sword that actually has an edge on it.
I remember watching a Shad video recently talking about training swords and the specific type of swords he uses.
Yeah, it would be a long sword, or it would be a
no, like the material they're made out of.
What about a nunchuck? Have you ever thought about that?
I would never want to train with nunchucks.
No.
Because for me, part of it, I'm very utilitarian, so I end up being pretty minimalist in my life. Like I don't want a lot of features. I just want the thing to function in the parameters that I expect of it. And so, like when I bought my first car, it was like $2,500, and I was only concerned with does it drive, and it was a 20-year-old.
What about economy?
You know what I mean? And I had no issues driving a 20-year-old car until it began to.
What about its economy?
In terms of you're not gonna get any profit from that attitude.
You're gonna waste a lot of money on gas.
Yeah, well, I replaced the car, and when I was at the dealership, they were telling me, oh, this has heated seats, here are all these features, you can do this and that with it, you have all of these ecological settings, and I just couldn't be asked to care in the slightest about any of those things. Is it reliable, does it break down? What's the gas mileage on it? The more functional points of focus were all I was really concerned with. Like I'm never going to use any of them. I'm never going to heat my seats. I'm never going to do any of these things. I don't care about those things. And
I shouldn't have come back.
I don't know.
It's very important. Now come.
People are weird.
Just if it's cold or whatever, I don't know. It's not for me though. It's just
I thought you Americans just bought the massive trucks or something that are like on the size of like Sherman tanks now.
Responsible.
You did your duty, just as she did hers.
I still see them everywhere.
Now let's take a transport to the Senate.
A lot of people can't afford. Well, I mean, the car is like a $50,000, $60,000 expense for a new car. Nobody can afford that.
Hey, You there? Want to get
Would you
someplace
say
else
it's
on the
still
planet?
worth getting a
Won't take you too long. Just sit back and relax.
Yes.
I gotta turn Joel up. I can barely hear him.
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
No,
my
it's fine.
microphone is just shit.
No, it's fine. It's just there. I didn't hear you well, so I thought.
In modern society, the way I put it is driving is as important, depending on where you live, as having a smartphone, in terms of the abilities to access work and do different things you need to do.
No,
yeah.
but I live. Huh.
Yeah.
Senator,
you're
we've heard
describing
about the
Dubai.
explosion on the landing platform. It is a great relief to know that you are okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
We'll
did
pay
put in
your
that,
taxes.
depending on where you live.
Yeah. I mean, have you heard of the reputation Dubai has? It's just like a shittier version of the United States.
Terrible.
I think that
like
Dooku was once a
ups and
Jedi.
downs.
He couldn't assassinate anyone.
Master Jedi, may I suggest that
Yeah, I
certain
could.
bases
Someone called
under
me
the
racist
protection
because
of
I
your
was like, there's
graces.
almost no circumstance
Perhaps
in which I would
someone
ever
you're
want
familiar
to go to Dubai or would visit.
not even
What
for
the
me.
fuck?
My goodness, you've grown.
So have you.
Yeah,
Grown
Oh, yeah,
beautiful, I mean.
you're a race car guy. Interest. Okay.
Just
Well,
be
for me,
warned.
reasons I put
Dubai
it
is
is like
incredibly
Well,
expensive.
now that everyone's been
there's enough.
allow
Unreasonably
us to escort
expensive.
you to your quarters, Senator.
Thank you, Master Kenobi, but this seems unnecessary. I don't need more security.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for me, the concern is that because of the way that their legal system operates, I would be extremely concerned that I would violate, because of how different their law system is, I could incidentally or accidentally
We will
violate a
find
law
out who's trying
and
to
get
kill
fucking
you.
trapped there.
No,
We will not exceed our
You-
mandate, my
I
young
mean-
Padawan learner.
I meant it in the interest of
I-
protecting her, Master, of course.
Perhaps with merely your presence, the
Yeah.
mystery
Okay,
surrounding this
wait.
threat will be
I,
revealed.
as someone who's lived here pretty much all his life,
Okay.
the thing is, Dubai is Dubai specifically. I can't speak of every other nation, emirate, but Dubai is incredibly westernized. Like, okay, are you aware
Is it
of
much
the
farther,
Muslim
Master?
tradition
Is
of
mine and Padme's
Ramadan,
company boring
which is
you
that you would
already,
have to
Padawan?
fast?
No.
Where
of course
Muslims
not,
have
Master.
to
I
fast
didn't mean.
We aren't
like
far.
30 days,
My apartment
and
is just
that
up
in
ahead.
many Muslim countries, in many Muslim countries, your business has to close down, and like you're not allowed to eat in public. Dubai actually
Here we are.
revoked that law,
Shall we?
and now you can actually just eat in public. I was really taken aback by that, but yes,
Thank you
now
for
you
getting me here
can
safely.
just eat in public.
Now, if you'll
And
excuse
Well,
me,
the
for me,
thing
I
is,
will retire.
just free speech. If I'm less inclined to go to any country where I can't just say what I think, if it is
oh yeah, no.
controversial.
If you say if you say something retarded in front of a security guard, yeah, you will be probably deported.
That's my big hang up is I'm very like out and open and upfront. If I see something fucked up, I'll say something fucked up in response. So
It
any-
depends on who you say it to. It depends on who you say it to. If you say it to an
No, I
Emirati,
just-
they're gonna have a problem. But if you say it to
I'm-
anybody else, they're not gonna have a problem.
I'm like an autistic person. A lot of times there just isn't that filter. And you know, I'm all quick to apologize if I've said something offensive after the fact, if someone takes it personally. But I don't have the ability to do that in a legal sense.
There she
Now
is.
I'm gonna be
Don't let her get
respectful.
away.
Like I'm never gonna be like Johnny Somali type where I'm like jumping on
We'll stop her, Master.
people.
I promise.
Great. Well, if we could not crash before doing so, I'd greatly appreciate it.
Master, you need to
Yeah.
relax. I'm a great pilot.
Yeah,
You've much to learn about many things, my young apprentice, and flying is
I
certainly one
I
of them.
absolutely agree with that. you know, but I'm saying like my misbehavior would only be verbal. But if the verbal is not acceptable, I don't want to go to that place, just because I can't trust my. Yeah, he me lined. Yeah.
Anakin, watch out for that power coupling.
No. So I'm an Indian immigrant. I am an atheist now, but I grew up in a Christian household. But my family is very non-religious. It's like on and off. But yeah, I'm not that religious. I do not like Islam as a religion, right? Honestly, I know the irony of living in here, but like when I see a woman in a hijab, I unironically feel kind of like that just kind of rubs me off in the kind of wrong way, because like you're forcing people to wear it. You're forcing them to wear it, and like you're like indoctrinating them to wear it. And like I saw a meme, unironically, I saw a meme where it says like where a girl asks, where a Christian is like, oh, what do you wear that hijab by your free will? They're like, yeah. And then he says, what happens if you don't wear that hijab? Well, if I don't wear it, I'm going to be ridiculed by my family. I will be stoned by my community, and I will burn in hell.
Ahead.
But it's still my choice.
I agree. I don't have an issue with a hijab so long as it's in a culture where I understand that that is completely a choice of their agency and volition. But the problem with the hijab is like when I see it, I have sort of an understanding that is not something that they are necessarily choosing due to like social pressure, due to legal pressure, or religious pressures. And so for me, it's like it's hard to be okay with. I'm not going to do anything about it or say anything about it, but my opinion is going to be formed around whether I'm like morally okay with it or not, based off of like how in what society it's taking place, in what circumstances it's being being presented.
Yeah. Yeah, and the trouble is like definitely here. When I got to university, one of my first like club classes, we got into a discussion of like the club's head of like a digital drawing class, where she's from, and it's like some weird country, like Arab country. She just casually said, she like started we started guessing the states that she's from, and I think I said, "Are you from Israel?" And she unironically told me, "But Israel isn't a state," and nobody corrected her. So I just like, all right, I see how it is. Okay.
Okay. Map.
R4, I think you can help me with something.
And I did make a comment of like, but isn't Israel not the only democratic country in the place? And like, they all kind of looked at me weird. And then I said,
You already got one, I can tell.
My bad. Never mind.
Yeah. But then hopefully, but thankfully we all forgot about that conversation. But like, yeah, I'm like just surrounded by fucking people that I unironically do feel a little uncomfortable talking about like
I hate that feeling. I just won't engage with any, and this is not just like countries that I'd be likely to visit or not. This also happens in the digital space too. Like I'm not going to engage with platforms in which I have to feel like I'm walking on eggshells, to where I can't just like say the things that I think are funny, for instance, like gonna happen on without being like banned or censored.
Yeah. A student did actually report me for making her feel uncomfortable when, like, I have bad beef with that bitch for a long time, for like a few months, because of like many, because like one time I criticized her work, and since then we've been not on each other's tempo at all.
Let's see what the problem is.
And like one time. She was doing a presentation on Arcane Season 2. I mean, Arcane Season 1, I told you about this. I made just dumb faces. Like I was just like faces of bewilderment. Like I was like doing the unironic hog face. Because of just the stupidity that was being presented to me, and apparently that made her feel uncomfortable, and she reported me to the fucking headmaster. And like, thankfully, the headmaster was super understanding and all, but like the fact that that even happened made me realize, like, holy shit, I cannot like even criticize people at all. Because here's another thing, in that presentation, right? That this is more going into like just university culture, was that we were allowed to give feedback or ask questions at the end of everyone's presentation on a movie they were covering. I asked my my classmates, oh, so should I like criticize this person's stuff? They all said, please don't do that because it'll piss off everybody. And that is what I got, was the moment you start criticizing anybody is the moment you're going to be labeled as like an enemy or like somebody who's a dickhead to the whole class or to everyone. And like, because this is like a group, projects are incredibly important.
At this point, it would
So
have been
you
quicker
have
to
to
fly
work with people. You need to be in a good standing with people, or else, you know, it's just gonna be a harder time. So I found myself unable to give any feedback, and nobody gave it back. I only gave like one feedback about somebody who unironically liked the Minecraft movie and said it was an accurate depiction of the game.
What
Minecraft,
the fuck?
And I was like,
Great. Now.
yeah, and I asked him like,
Grab a
what
seat
about
and I'll
that
be
time
right
when
with
that kid made a gun? And he gave me some bullshit. He gave me a bullshit answer, and I wanted to press forward, but I got like this ominous feeling that if I did, he's gonna go back to his friends, and his friends they're gonna start talking like, oh, do you know that one dickhead? Like, I can't believe you fucking criticized your work. And I was like, yeah, that's it. I don't have anything to say.
Well, just
So, like,
for the way that I'm constantly having to navigate like social consequences, so I'm very familiar with that feeling that you're expressing of like whether I should press forward or not. But I can't like deal with more than just like social consequences. Like, I've had to accept the fact that some people are not gonna like me, some people are really gonna vibe with me because they like my brain. And
brain, damn.
they like
Honey,
they like the internalization of my brain in terms of what I vocalize and my thought processes and my opinion or viewpoint on things. But it's not gonna be everyone's cup of tea. So I'm okay with people not liking me, you know, for sort of my behavior or how I am. And then that's the extent of like what I can take in terms of negative consequences.
All I ask is from people who don't like me to just tell me that you don't like me and tell me why you don't like me instead of going behind my back and talking to Cool. Oh my god, like this happened. That's the other thing. This happened before that.
Cora, thank you for your custom.
It happened before when someone, because listen, like I was a shut-in for most of my fucking life, and like in high school even, I just sat alone playing Factorio on my fucking laptop. And so I wasn't aware about how fucking offensive it is to criticize people's artwork. So I did do that to a student, and she looked at me and she said, oh yeah, you're right, thank you. And then it's only about a week later that I get from another student that she's been telling shit behind my back, saying that I just criticize people without asking them, and I didn't even know that was an etiquette I had to do. Like, I didn't know that I was a bad guy all of a sudden, and I had to fucking go to her and apologize, and she accepted it, and we're cool now. But that's really stung that you spread a
like people are gonna be passive aggressive or not conflict oriented. So that's gonna be like pretty common. It's gonna be rare you're gonna find someone who's like, no, I'll fucking fight you on the conflict, you know.
Yeah, I know that it's really rare that will happen, but like, I really hope we have the human decency of just not saying bad things about someone behind their back, you know? Like overly negative things. Like you could say, I didn't have that much of a pleasant experience, but I got where he was coming from.
According to Dex,
And that's it.
Camino
You
should
don't
be
have to
right
say I'm a
here,
fucking
but
person who'll
there's
just
just
criticize your work
empty
without
space.
asking you and be a dick about it.
planet.
No, they're
Okay,
trying
sorry
to
for
push the
venting.
How embarrassing.
conflict. They're trying to have
There's
their cake and
nothing
eat
there.
it too. They have an issue with you, but they're so
Silhouette
conflict avoidant and averse that they're not going to directly have it out with you, but they
Very
still
good.
need to get that off their chest or vent about it. So they're
Go to
going
the
to go and
center of
poison the well for
gravity's
other
pull.
people against you.
And find your planet.
Yeah,
You will.
yeah. And yeah.
But Master Yoda,
So
could
like
empty
I
information from the
honestly I don't
archives.
know
That's
like
impossible,
what
isn't
to do
it?
around these people
Only a
anymore. I'm just
Jedi could have
like at
erased
this
those
point,
lives.
if somebody asks me
But
if
who?
your artwork is
And
good,
why?
I'm just gonna be sitting there
Hard to
and I ain't
trace.
gonna say a fucking thing. I'll just be
Meditate on this.
dead silent and be like,
You're gonna turn your tongue into fucking sushi, mate. Like, you're gonna bite your tongue so much you're gonna hate it.
yeah, yeah. The worst.
That's
thing
why I do not
hate
give a
hearing-
shit. I'll say what I think, and that's it. Whether you
Yeah,
like it or
well, it
not.
won't really work when you have to. It can work online, but when you have to actually work with these people and you're gonna meet them for the next 3 years, you don't have a choice but to basically be accommodating to them. Because if they're the vast majority, like they're the vast majority, and like first off, I'm an animation.
Physically and
Okay,
emotionally.
that's what I'm doing. I'm doing animation, and that is a heavily team-focused work. And since a lot of our projects are group-based and like group graded, we do need to work together. And if we don't have a good relationship, it can really fuck things up. And I gotta be honest,
But that
like,
is
I'm
a stupid
fucking-
concept of animation. Like, the
What?
way they teach it. Like, why do they force you to work in groups?
Because it's a, what do you mean? Animation is a highly
Well, it depends on the
highly,
scale of the animation.
oh, yeah, like they're preparing us to get jobs in the industry. That's the main thing they're trying to teach us is how to be.
Yeah, but it's if all of it is group projects, that's stupid.
Not all of it, not all of
Okay.
it. Like, but not all of it. But like naturally, it will become it, even if we don't want it to, because of the amount of work that
Yes,
actually
it should be the right
can't
system.
help but be
Your eyes peeled
ask
for our missing
people for
planet.
help. Like you're gonna probably ask like, hey, can you help me with these backgrounds, or can you help me with these in-betweens, and or this base coloring. Like there will be times when you need to ask help from people. So in times like that, you just have to bite your tongue and just like accept it. So.
Well, there's you and Joel is if you are going to give constructive feedback to people, there's one you have to like the person recommended to you, which I think is probably accurate for the space that you're in. Ask them if they want critique or if they just want to talk about what they did well. And from
that's what I've asked.
Your critique it gently as you possibly can, and every negative you have to point to a positive or a change that can be made to improve the work. And yeah, you have to have kid gloves on.
Master that his order will be
Yeah, I have now I have learned to do that. Like first I'll ask, you want criticism, and if they do say yes, I'll be incredibly soft about it. But like it does get grating at times when you have to do it.
But you must be anxious to inspect the units for
Yeah,
yourself.
you can't.
And then you get the fucking
When
people
my
who just want
master first
compliments
contacted you
about their
the
work
army,
and nothing else.
Did he say who it was for?
Those I
But
hate
you-
the
Of
most.
course he
That you
did.
have to offer if
Master
you deconstruct
Seyfried
something, you have
Diaz
to offer a
ordered this
replacement.
army for the
Is like the
Republic.
second step of
I'm
the
sorry.
critique.
Master Cypher Diaz.
Like alternatives
Yeah.
as to
But
what
he
would
was
make it
killed
better
almost
if
10
this
years
element
ago.
doesn't work about it.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I see. Okay.
As a writer, whenever I submit work to one and they read it, which is rare, but whenever I do,
Hello
I'm
there.
like, welcome the critique. I'm like, how do I make this better? Because my whole philosophy about art is like anything I create is going to
Very
suck,
impressive.
and my main job
I'd
as a
hope you
creative
were
is
pleased.
to make it
Those
not
can
suck, to
think
keep hammering it
creatively.
away at it
Find
until
that
it's in
they are
its
immensely superior.
it doesn't suck anymore. They have the least amount of suckage possible.
I'm sure they're not talking
Suck
about
it.
Yeah, that's the goal in general. To like that, what the goal should be in general for all movies,
People don't-
animations.
Yes.
mentality with their work. They're looking for like ego validation,
Which is stupid. If you want ego validation, go into politics.
I see. They are totally obedient.
That's basically what it is.
Order without question.
It's a human thing. It's humans tend to fall in love with their own creations, and so when you
especially artists, like traditional artists.
when you critique it, like they're not that you're critiquing a thing that they love, that is like a passion of theirs. That's almost part of their identity.
I would be very happy to arrange it for you.
Take it personally.
From his pay, which
Well,
is
it depends on how the critique is presented. If you present it like a jackass, then yeah, of course that's gonna be the reaction.
curious, isn't it?
Well, even gentle probing can set people off pretty commonly. So it's any that you point out in the thing isn't interpreted as a separation between me and my art, which is the healthy way to go about it if you actually want to improve your art, versus like you're critiquing this byproduct of me that is an extension of myself. So it is, you're basically critiquing me or the way that I view art or how I create.
Yeah, I do think it is a sense of, because like the amount of time, that's the other thing, like these works would take tens of hours, and then you just hear someone criticizing it. It's like almost insulting in a way. Like, oh my god, like this guy doesn't even know how much effort I put into this, and it's like,
would you like to
I struggle with that a bit. Like when my mom comes in and gives me criticism, I do also get frustrated because I'm like, it took so long to do, and like hearing criticism is valuable and is needed, but it does hurt.
Your clones are very impressive.
Even
I must be very proud.
separation, like I make a point of fact of like separating myself from my creation, but even then I still have the project of being able to sort through the critique that I've received and see which is valid and which is not, which is the more difficult part of like, I might actually have struck gold with this concept, but someone is going to tear at it, even if they're going at it constructively, but the ideas that they're offering as replacements aren't as good, or they are better, but I can't see it. So it's a difficult process for sure. I've worked on writing projects where we have a couple of different people in the space, and the ideas that are offered. Sometimes I'm sitting there and I'm like, this just doesn't work. Like this, how do I explain to you that the idea that you're trying to integrate into the work is going to make the work lesser, or we need to elevate this idea to a point where it does incorporate naturally and elevates the piece rather than just being like sort of bringing it down and actually making it the work works.
You know what? But I had a debate with the Souls game. And
see why they want to clone him.
Its spirit ashes. The spirit ashes, yeah. Basically the summons. Yeah, the summons where you would summon basically an enemy. And I chose that I really didn't like it because it basically was an easy mode to Dark Souls, because a lot of the bosses and encounters were just not consistent around one different entity fighting at the same time. Two different players equally fighting at the same time. And it would trivialize the game. And I think they shouldn't have even included it in the first place, because when you use spirit ashes, you basically make the game
Mustn't let them
easy,
get
and
too
you're
far
like
ahead.
subtracting the main core element of Dark Souls.
Force reflexes have
The
their
main core element of
advantages.
Dark Souls that
Now there's
everyone
no time
loves,
to
and
waste.
it's what
Let's
draws
follow me.
people to it is and with this new mechanic that they have introduced, they have unintentionally. No, they have
Go on,
intentionally.
Kenobi.
This is like
Better
this
than that.
mechanic's main purpose is to allow more casual audiences to play the game. And whenever they're stuck at a boss, they'll just fucking activate the spirit ashes, who would just either aggro the boss, which is most of the time what they would do, or they'll help damage the boss as well for you, which just criminalizes the game.
I don't have an issue with the mechanic itself, and the side point from that is In terms of implementing a difficulty slider, I think it's much more interesting and creative to implement the difficulty slider into the game mechanics rather than just having an option at the beginning on the menu as to do you want to play easy, normal, or hard mode. So I appreciate that sort of creativity and like how do we mitigate difficulty, but do it within the game world
Hello,
rather
Dave.
than just give people the slider. But I agree with you that the way that the spirit ashes are implemented in the game, there's just multiple problems with it, and you've hit upon one, which is that a large bulk of the bosses are not designed with ashes in mind, and some are designed with you have to use ashes or co-op in order to be able to mitigate the damage to a point where it's reasonable for you to beat the boss in like less
Also,
than 10.
also the vice versa would be that the bosses would just have mechanics that would just fucking murder your ashes immediately to the point where it's fucking useless. It's just a mana drain. So there was no point in that mechanic even being there.
Well, some of the and it also depends on which ash we're talking about as well. But I think the problem isn't with the mechanic itself; it's the way it was implemented and the design around it, where several bosses are designed with no ashes in mind, and several bosses are designed with like you will be using ashes or a summon of some kind in this boss fight, and so there's a lot of like back and forth, and it's kind of poorly balanced, which you would expect. This is one of the problems with creating a game this big is that that would be one of the more difficult aspects in balancing and in design when it comes to trying to work around this mechanic in a way that feels like it's been executed or implemented in a way that serves the overall game's to create a sort of level off point of game difficulty that as you progress with the system and you increase in skill level, you're constantly coming up on a challenge that is fair, is reasonable, but also still has a degree of difficulty that is extremely engaging. It's kind of too big a project for them to do too many experimental things that they haven't really refined.
This is going to be a bumpy ride.
Like one of my main problems with the thing is that
he's around here.
Well, I got into this debate with my friend, and he like told that this like the reason I'm so against it is that it's a very slippery slope for these developers to get into, because like
if the game was scale of like Dark Souls 3, it's more likely that they would have been able to implement this more effectively.
Homing missiles. Splendid.
Like, yeah, I guess, but
let's
like,
not make a habit of
should
this, shall we?
mechanic, should something like what I mean is like obviously the idea of summoning an ally or companion in idea being like in universe like work, even more of like supportive buff element, or you know adding up or building up a status effect. There is no
trying.
Like the way
where they'll adjust the level of the character to match more, so they'll cut the health down, you know, they'll cut the damage output down, etc. Things like that to make it where it's more of a support than it is someone that's gonna solo the boss for you, but you still end up in situations where person comes in and they either have a broken build or they have such a high skill level that they do essentially solo the boss for you.
Yeah, so like the other problem with the ashes is like the ashes themselves and what they like, because like I did not like the idea of fucking entire player characters and NPCs being ashes of war. Like I like the idea of it being normal enemies in your environment being the ones to be part of your spirit actions to an extent, but to have actual NPCs be available in pretty much almost every fight, that I do not like, because like NPCs, when you saw an NPC like in the original Dark Souls something, because I haven't played the second or third one, I've played a bit of the first one. I've beaten the gargoyle boss.
I've lost control.
Yeah, I've beaten the gargoyle. But like when you see the NPC, it like adds more gravitas to the moment, because it's like, oh, okay, this is gonna be a big fight. Like it plays into the narrative. But if I could just summon the fucking dung eater into every encounter I go into, it kind of ruins the mood a bit because I'm like I'm summoning this legendary NPC to just fight
Just
the
a
boss
little
with
turbulence.
me.
Nothing to worry
I
about.
like the idea of it of the spirit ashes being a little bit more spiritual kind of enemies like the wolves and like like beasts or like specific enemy type instead of just being nearly every single enemy in the game being a spirit ashes, like to the point where I think they just they looked at their asset, they just looked at all the enemies and just picked and choose without any real forethought into narrative or immersive or like sense. You know what I mean? Like I think it should have been more limiting. Like the NPC should have been the spirit ashes should have been more selective and more limiting in what you
It
got.
depends on how it's implemented as to whether I'm gonna like it or not. And like all the previous games had the ability to summon non-player characters as well as co-op characters that are actual players into these boss fights. And I'm always
They
gonna
would be selective.
Especially with a game like this with a really high difficulty. I'm definitely in favor of having more options in terms of being able to change your strategy or change your build, do things differently in terms of tackle a problem. I think more is better in this case, so long as the more you get is implemented in an interesting way. Less I get right, like the Taurus demon in Dark Souls 1, where you there's really one primary meta in order to beat that boss. I would like for there to be multiple metas in terms of things you can do to sort of mitigate difficulty or face the challenge as it's presented to you, kind of solo dolo. And like I said, with Elden Ring specifically, it just feels like if the game was going to stay this scope and size, they needed more time to let it cook in order to really refine a lot of the different elements. I think if this game had 5 more years in the oven, maybe up to 10 years in the oven, a lot of the problems that exist in the game would have been solved. Like the Spirit Ash mechanics, all of these different
I'm not
things.
here to play silly games.
So
That's coming to a general thing because like you cut out the last one.
Oh, hold on, let me rejoin real fast.
What are you playing, Silverlink?
I'm playing Lego Star Wars. I'm at episode 2.
I like Elden Ring a lot, but I'm always happy to talk about the problems that exist in the game because there are many.
Oh yeah. So the other problem I find with the game is like how you get power. Like if you beat every boss in the area, you will actually annihilate all the bosses in the next area. To the point where it's only the end boss that might pose a problem. Like if you're in the game style of I want to explore everything before I get to the final boss. I want to explore the entire area and I want to then fight the final boss, which is typically how I like to play. I'm a completionist gamer. So I like to complete all of the side tasks and cover all the dungeons and stuff like that before going into the final, which is kind of like how an RPG would work. You explore the area, you get a strong, you do all the things you can, and then you move on to the final boss that will enable you to go to the next area. The thing is, if you actually play like that, you will be grossly overpowered to the point where the final boss will become a joke, and you will you will only take like a few tries to get it done. Like the hardest parts were just bullshit like environmental things that would kill you over and over
AoE
again.
attacks and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, like things that will just instantly kill, and like environmental stuff as well. Like small enemies slowly ticking away at your health as you go.
Yeah.
So
for me, with this is subjective, but for me, when it comes to Elden Ring, I didn't actually interact with it the same way I would a Dark Souls game. So the fact that as you level up, you're pretty quickly hitting a threshold in which you can dominate a pretty decent bulk of the game, except for the later game areas with some of these boss fights that will stomp you. And so for me, it wasn't so much about the challenge as it was at the forefront the exploration. And so me cruising through most of these caves, most of these dungeons, most of these field combat areas didn't really hit me as hard as it may have if it was like Dark Souls 3 or Dark Souls 1 being as unbalanced, where you're pretty broken without necessarily grinding to a point where you're just walking through the majority of the campaign with very little difficulty. And that's just because the way that the map is set up feels like its focus is more on exploration of the map, more so than having like a really tight difficulty curve experience that's very balanced for your progression as you go through the game. That seems like it would be very difficult to implement on a map this big, with still having player choices to which areas that you go to. In Dark Souls 3, in Bloodborne, in Sekiro, in Dark Souls 1, they have an idea of where you're going to be going roughly, and so it's easier for them to balance that area for what they expect, you know, your level cap to be at that stage, as a rough estimate, from the material that you've already done so far, without grinding, without going back and killing the same enemies a bunch of times to like level up. But that is also another example of a smart difficulty mechanic that's implemented in the game that isn't as simple as a difficulty slider on the menu, where if you're running into a challenge, you don't want to use a summon, which would mitigate the difficulty. You can go back and grind and get like 5 more levels, and now the boss fight is going to be that much easier because you're stronger, you have a larger health pool, you have more stamina, what have you, where you can mitigate some of the game's difficulty by means other than just changing the difficulty on a menu to make the boss weaker or yourself stronger. That is a more interesting mechanic, a more clever and creative mechanic than a base difficulty slider. I am in favor of more options like that in games where there is, as you enter at one set difficulty, but there are options available to the player in terms of how difficult they want to make the experience. Like if you want to play Iron Man mode at like max difficulty where you're at level 0, you play depraved or deprived, and you never level anything, and you also never use armor or anything like that, and you go through the entire game like at the hardest difficulty. That's something that you can choose to do for like max difficulty options.
That is true, but like, isn't there not like a mechanic? It becomes more of like
You're very low again, mate.
Oh, sorry.
It's fine.
Yeah. So, what I mean is that, like,
trouble hearing you.
For me, it was like damn near inaudible.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like, if fuck, I lost my train of thought there. Shit. Won't. Oh yeah. Self-discipline. Yeah. Self-discipline. What I meant is, like, if you implement these mechanics, isn't there not because there will always be a boss or a challenge that you will encounter that will actually require you to do, that will be more frustrating than normal, and instead of going through it the way the game people has intended, or like, I really don't want to sound like H Bomber guy right now by saying this is
they're
like
playing games
the
incorrectly.
yeah, there's like a fun way, a more fun way of playing it, but like in Elden Ring's example, there is like, if you actively, because I have to admit, during the time when I played Elden Ring, I only had like a few hours a day to play the game because I was in proper school at the time. So I didn't have the time to do the exploration, and like for me, like all the environment kind of looked the same, so I would get bored really quickly. So I would get frustrated. It's like, where the fuck is the boss?
Well, I
so
mean,
I
for me, 2 or 3 playthroughs was about 500 hours, roughly.
Yeah.
So I put a significant amount of time into that game, but I also 100%ed. I have all the achievements for Elden Ring and the DLC as well.
Yeah, so like, I would I ruined the game for me 100% because it led to me finding all the bosses areas, fighting them, being grossly overpowered because of me basically beating every boss in an area before going to the final boss, which just made me grossly overpowered, which destroyed my experience. And now because I still have the knowledge, if I go into that area again, I'll know where all the good items are. So like
But
I understand.
wouldn't that be
I have
if you did the opposite?
For me,
wouldn't-
it was the opposite. This is again entirely subjective, but me going in,
Yeah.
like I said, the way I approach this game is more like a Wind Waker, or where the exploration is at the forefront. So by the time that I got super overpowered and I'm just walking through bosses, for me it was kind of like a power fantasy where I'm like, I'm approaching becoming a god, and so as I progress, it makes more and more sense for me, narratively speaking, that I'm at a point where I'm going to be, burning apart the Erd Tree and tearing, the cosmic forces from their thrones and dethroning them and usurping to install myself. So it didn't, just from a narrative perspective, it didn't bother me as much because it made me feel extremely powerful, which I agree that generally From Software games are about disempowerment. And so usually when you're playing Dark Souls 1 or Dark Souls 3, like, you are not, the main character. You're not like
it's
you're
not your
just some
typical
guy,
power
and you're
fantasy.
fighting through this horrible struggle.
You're a piece of trash. You're a piece of trash that is
you're just some
pissed on by the
nobody.
world. Yeah. Like
And the world sucks.
But based on
I'm
how
getting,
you based on how you guys described it, those two concepts do like in Elden Ring, those two fucking concepts do not fucking match. The point of having external bosses in the area and having a main boss of the area, like those concepts kick each other in the nuts. Because it's
basically just having mini bosses. So there's like certain areas where you get specific resources. So they're like these Erd trees. They usually have an Erd tree guardian, and that's where you get a specific resource to upgrade. I think it's your flask, or you get sort of a potion mechanic where you have different shards that you can put into this potion that will like restore half your health, increase your magic mana.
But
Anytime you get hit, they'll have different like unique modifiers after you drink your potion that they'll apply to your character. Each area has these types of mini bosses where you go and get these specific resources.
That's not where I'm going with it. The point is that if you complete the boss and like the main boss of the area, that one would be difficult, but then the other bosses of the area that give you those upgrades will feel bland as fuck.
They would become trivial. Yeah, they would become bland because like one of the main critiques of Elden Ring is the repetitive bosses. Like you would be facing the same fucking cat.
So like what the fuck were they doing?
I don't mind the repetitive bosses in some instances, and then in other instances it is an issue. And usually those examples are when it's narratively doesn't make sense.
From what I've heard, it's more egregious than Dark Souls 2.
Because these are the Erd tree fragments that you get for your potion, and they're guarding these specific areas. So seeing that boss in that area makes sense. But when it's like a character that the game establishes as this is a special guy, he's right here, and he shouldn't be anywhere else, and then you see that boss again somewhere else, it trivializes the narrative reason why that character would be there. And there's many instances of that, and that I'm less okay with. That's
what
That's
the main criticism I've heard of Elden Ring, because it's more egregious than Dark Souls 2. The Scholar of the First Sin, or whichever is the definitive edition for PC. Like, it's even more egregious than that one.
Well, it's like, okay, you have this default soldier, right? He's the default soldier character.
Yeah.
Seeing that default soldier character all over the map, that is a repetition. But is that as bothersome when you know that there is going to be this variety of different combat encounters? There's going to be different numbers of them. It's like, are you going to be upset about a Star Wars game because there's stormtroopers everywhere?
No.
It's like, probably not, even though that is a spam and repetition.
I'm mainly focusing on the bosses or special creatures.
If you have like Watto, and Watto is in this specific location, and he's a character, and you come across him, and then he's like in the areas that he shouldn't be in as like here's a boss fight, so we're just gonna give it to you.
Yeah, you fight Wado
three
or
more
the
times,
Keto
like,
Bite.
if it violates the narrative expectations, that's more problematic. That's more of an issue that hurts the game design. And so some of the mini bosses I'm okay with because they're established in the lore as the reason why they would be there. And then some of the mini bosses are violating the narrative as to why I should never see this guy again.
But
Why is he here? And
I
it's not
remember
established
this.
as to why.
I remember this in the Elden Ring EFAP. Like there would be times where Metal will find the main boss or a main boss, and then later on his 3 mini bosses later on in the story, or vice versa. He would fight 3 mini bosses, and then he's a final boss in an area. And they're the same creature. At least that's what I recall.
I do remember.
That is an accurate critique. That is a fair critique.
Yeah.
One of my other problems with that,
and the critique was specifically about like named bosses.
Well, I'm not. I never mentioned the grunts.
The other problem with the grunts thing, for example, the Elden Guardians, the Elder Tree Guardians, right? So I kind of have a problem with that. It's like, is it me? Am I wrong? But I think all of them have the same attack.
They have the same attack. There's different varieties of them in terms of like what elemental, abilities that they have, but their attack patterns are the same in terms of the actual movesets that they use.
This talking about enemies and like this thing. Have you guys seen the new trailer for like the multiplayer game from the universe? What is it? Elden Ring Nightfall or Night Raid? Night Raid, yes. So, have you guys seen that?
I'm familiar with the game in terms of seeing the footage you've released so far.
I'm really worried. So like, it's an extraction shooter. It's a roguelike. Yeah, it's a group roguelike game. And like from what I've seen, in the thing, I'm seeing a lot of reused enemies, which I'm fine with.
Yes.
As long as the price point is appropriate, which it is. It's like $34 or $35, which is like, all right, fine. I'm basically playing a DLC, and that's like, okay, it's fine. But what my main problem is when I looked at the enemies, I was like, wait a minute, these are the same enemies who can be easily cheesed if you have another player, and now there's 3 players. Oh god.
They're reusing a lot of assets from previous games, which I'm not necessarily opposed to if it saves them time and allows them the resources to focus on things that would be bigger issues instead of designing completely new bosses. I'm also reserving judgment because I'm looking at the core gameplay loop and I'm like, this could be fun or it could be trash depending on how it's implemented. And then there's also the problem of like, this could be a base format for a game for them to build on. So Elden Ring at launch might not be very good, but 5 years from now, after they've added 10 patches and they have like 2 or 3 DLCs onto it, they could build it out into a more full-fledged experience that's like the essential Dark Souls experience, or becomes the new formula for how we approach these sort of action RPG games. So there are things that I see in the trailer content and in the gameplay I've seen so far where I'm like, I don't know about that. But until we get something that's a lot more hands-on and we see the full product, I'm a little more reserved on it. I've seen a lot of people hating on it from what they've seen so far. Just basically, and all they really have to go on is the concept. Like, so they're really just attacking the concept without seeing how that concept was implemented.
About halfway home, when they took a hunting
I've seen it.
Tuscan
Raiders.
Where are you going?
I watched,
to find my mother.
Videos, but I got a general idea from all the
You may not like
the Dark Souls combat system.
I don't care.
Very
I'm going to find my mother.
It's just really high skill ceiling. But the main thing
it's just executed at a high level, but it's not a super complex combat system.
No, and like the limitations of it is being very apparent is like Elden Ring, and especially the DLC with more fanciful moves that when you look at the very advanced moves, it looks more like something like Devil May Cry or something.
Yeah.
I think the formula.
Me personally, my
must
preference is
be-
always going to be simpler combat system. No, me. Well, I'm just stating my shut up, son of a bitch, the nerd crew reference. But I do prefer simpler combat systems. This is why I don't like fighting games. Is I want to be able to have an understanding of my inputs to where I can make quick decisions.
Yes, I 100% agree because I'm a plug-in
I'm not a huge fan of things like Devil May Cry and Bayonetta just because I end up just button mashing. Like, I'm not going to dedicate a large portion of the time to getting the level of efficiency required on those games to be like the combo master. So I in terms of my ideal fighting game, it's something more like Super Smash Brothers, where it does have this low point of entry. You don't need to understand a lot about the game mechanics in order to engage with it, but it also still has this super high skill ceiling in terms of mastering those mechanics.
You'll just have to come along.
Like
When I play, when I play Castlevania Symphony of the Night, I'm usually not putting the special moves in terms of the button inputs, rather than just playing with the more basic mechanics. For an example for that, how that played out.
Strict orders to protect me.
I definitely
Now let's
think
go.
that
Obi-Wan is in
the
danger.
Dark Souls combat formula desperately needs a bit of an update, because like at this point it's just kind of getting repetitive, and I ain't gonna lie, just either dodging or blocking or just running away. And occasionally jumping, but that's not mainly limited to the boss mechanic.
Have you played Nine Souls?
Mm-hmm. What
You have?
You can't
Nine
shut
Souls?
up about that one, can you?
I love it.
I have not.
Oh yeah.
You haven't played Nine Souls?
I remember something I wanted to say earlier, but you guys were moving the discussion pretty well and kind of moved away from that point. But when you were talking about difficulty, personally, I'd much rather have a difficulty selector that is well balanced than a game with a single difficulty that's all over the place.
Delta, I'm on both sides of the fence with this.
Mhm.
I care about how it's implemented. So if the difficulty slider is better than what we get in Elden Ring in terms of adjustable difficulty through mitigation, I would obviously prefer that if it's implemented better. But if it's, I'm also going to pay, credit where credit is due in terms of it is more creative by the very nature of how you're doing it. It is more creative to have the difficulty slider be built into the features of the game in terms of which systems you interact with or ignore. So that is more interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
If
I had
I do agree with both sides. It's just I've noticed that the way challenge has started to become developed in modern game development, they don't give a shit anymore. Even FromSoft, and even the fact that even FromSoft doesn't fucking make good difficulty anymore on one difficulty level. I might as well fucking have select.
So
I definitely feel that.
The problem I have with the difficulty slider on the menu is that usually they don't do the extra step of what you are thinking of. Usually what they do is they just adjust enemy HP and damage output. They just move some numbers around. And
I know. It's lazy as fuck too.
I tend to lean towards it is more interesting and more engaging because the difficulty slider is now built into the game mechanics, and so now you're looking at each combat encounter and you're trying to balance it for what if this player is using magic, what if this player is using a summons, etc., which makes for more thoughtful game design in general.
Worm, I said I do agree. It's just that game difficulty design dropped through the fucking floor. And when you have only one difficulty, and that difficulty it's either too hard or too easy, and because of the way they made the game, might as well give me the options to make it harder or easier for myself the way I want it. Because if I want a hard difficulty, I can just go nightmare mode and it's the way I like it in certain spots, and then I tone down the difficulty where they actually put some form of difficulty into it and turn it down to like a hard or a medium, and it's all like a consistent-ish difficulty curve compared to these areas are easy as fuck, or the mechanics of having mini bosses that turn the main boss of the area like a snorefest.
So Total War Warhammer 3 does this, where you get to not just pick how difficult the enemy is in AI, you also get to pick how much more damage output they have, how much more HP they have.
The fine-tuning of...
Specialized.
That's nice.
Specialized, like, so the AI gets more complex and different. There are some people that even say playing the Total War AI on very hard
RTSs are a little different.
Is more difficult than on Ultra, or something like that.
But Shadow of the Tomb Raider did this.
Well, RTSs are a little different because usually in RTSs you have the same unit, and so it won't increase the unit's abilities. It won't increase the health pool that they have. Usually the difficulty will just increase AI efficiency, increase its actions per minute.
Actually,
in Total War, how it works is the AI will start using more complex formations and strategy tactics in deploying the forces. So, for instance, they'll stagger archers so that you...
Hold on. Shadow of the Tomb Raider did this pretty fucking well. You don't just have a difficulty slider, you also have individual parts of the difficulty slider, like puzzles, AI, like health and damage difficulty. Like you had multiple choices that you could fuck around with.
Yeah, well, that's good because that is considering difficulty on more than just a very simplistic basis. I'm just saying when you have the difficulty implemented at the beginning of the menu, what most developers do is they don't balance their gameplay around the understanding that this is what a player is going to face on easy, normal, and hard. It's literally just them moving numbers around and then they move on.
Yeah, that is my main criticism of the difficulty select system. That is my main criticism and why I hate it.
In a game like an RTS, like the formula of an RTS does not allow you to just increase. Like someone could, but almost everyone would be annoyed by that. And then a better example would be like Resident Evil 4, where increasing the difficulty actually affects multiple game mechanics. So some of the numbers do get moved in terms of enemy health pools and stuff, but it also changes the resources you have. So it puts more tension on you as a player in terms of your ammo count, and it affects multiple systems in terms of how the game's balanced.
Here's the thing, right? Listen. So when it comes to difficulty, I do not like difficulty sliders, period, because I want to play the game. I like the idea of playing the game how the game developers kind of intended the game to be. So
I prefer that too. Yeah, I prefer that they have one experience that they can balance for rather than like four difficult
experiences catered towards a specific crowd, and that's the reviewers. So
that is a bad fucking argument to have, because at the end of the day, the reason Dark Souls or FromSoft games became as popular as they are is because they did not give a shit, and they just made a difficulty they thought was perfect for the game. However,
because even in Demon Souls and Dark Souls, there are ways for you to mitigate the difficulty in the game mechanics rather than just having a slider.
Yeah,
that's true.
The thing is,
well, yeah, they added side missions, items to be found, hidden locations. Like
there's items,
of course.
There's summons, there's NPC summons, there's
but the main the main way of, like, let's say you don't do the side quests and you don't do the hidden items and all that, and you just progress naturally through the game by going from boss to boss to boss. The difficulty is gradual-ish. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's better than what most games at the time did. However, nowadays, even FromSoft is suffering from difficulty bumps. A lot of the difficulty
in the old games for like Dark Souls, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3 usually comes from a player is progressing naturally, like you said, and then they hit a brick wall, and they do the meme of trying to smash their face through the brick wall without changing any of their tactics. They don't use any of the alternative game options that are
Yeah.
available to them. Instead, try to just force their way through, which some people at a certain point will break
I
their
do
frustration.
find that a bit of a shitty thing. The fact that I cannot, for example, the fact that I need to change my sword to a mace or an axe, to be able to defeat a boss. This is a
not
problem I
necessarily just
have
that.
well, I have this problem with Armored Core. The fact that I made a build with the few options that I get at the start, and I have to play with something that's not natural to the choice I made. I have to use a weapon that I'm not familiar to because I didn't use it from the start. And I have to use a build that I'm not accustomed to, and it's not my playstyle, just so I can pass this one
I don't know
fucking
about
hurdle.
Armored Core.
Wait.
No, it's a general
what
example. You don't have to know about Armored Core to understand the
that.
concept.
So here's the thing. I have played Armored Core 6.
Yes.
I have played Armored Core 6 like throughout. Like I finished all the endings and everything. Just a few of the secret fucking messages and daily logs in it. But,
Yeah.
So the thing with Armored Core, the main appeal of that series is you are actively not incentivized to stick with one build. The point of Armored Core is to change your build depending on the situation and the mission. So if this is like Armored Core is more
It's not like the Dark Souls
about
formula where you
it's not
No. The reason why I used
specific
Armored
thing.
Core as a concept is because Armored Core makes that point, making you change your build so you can pass a certain hurdle. However, it does not fit with Dark Souls or Elden Ring. That's what I'm talking about. I do get the point.
When you go back further in their games, like they do not, they're really harsh on you in like Dark Souls 1 and Demon Souls. And once you have picked your sword and you've upgraded it, there's a threshold where you're going to handicap yourself by trying to mitigate or move away from your build.
Which I think it's personally, I think that's a shitty fucking way to do hurdles.
Well, it depends on what kind of game you're making. If it's an RPG, it makes sense for you to specialize. But even in those games, I would still argue the game has plenty of options for you mitigating difficulty that don't involve you changing your build necessarily.
What about I have a question. So like what about bosses and enemies or areas where they have specific weaknesses or specific things, the classic, the fire enemies are weaker against water attacks, or rock enemies
If
are
the
weaker
game's
against
designed around it, then it should work out. But
You still should be able
but
to
the-
do it without having that specific element in your build.
you're talking
Well, in
about
Dark
the
Souls 1, there are
rock
bosses
versus
where
yes.
I will switch to a sword and a shield because it makes more sense for me to fight this enemy on those terms versus relying more on like dodge rolling to fight the boss, depending on whether or not I'm able to block the damage output that this person is, how big their AoE is.
Yeah,
but you
I'm
should
not
still
necessarily
have
changing my
I'm not
build,
saying it should be
but
on the
I'm
same
using
level of
different options
difficulty.
within the gameplay.
I'm not saying it should
Also,
be as difficult as it would be if you had the water element, but if you're gonna fight fire with fire, you still should have a decent enough chance to, defeat the fucking boss without, fine, I'll choose the water element and go out of your way with a different mechanic.
Wait, Papa, what were you saying?
It's
What
the
were you
wa-
saying, Papa?
It's the rock paper scissors concept. It's the
Which
fire
is
po-
both a
fire Pokemon's
blessing
good
and a
against
curse.
Cross Pokemon's good against water Pokemon's good
yeah.
against fire Pokemon.
It's the Pokemon concept, and
If the game's designed well around it, then it's fine. Like for instance, if the game's designed to incentivize you switching, then it's fine.
But yeah, we're talking about Dark Souls and Elden Ring, and let's be real, it doesn't really incentivize you to do that.
Yeah, no.
We're using Dark Souls.
Well, yeah, the main discussion is around the difficulty of Dark Souls, Elden Ring, and how it's handled, and then we got into difficulty sliders and how that would affect the.
Wait, so actually, here's the thing. I never got into one of my main things I wanted to talk about. I don't know if we did cover this, but it was like
Was it my dick?
should such incentives even exist to say if it will actively take away from the experience intended by the game developers?
Back in the day, people
In
used to
Armored
just
Core,
throw
it
stuff
works
at the
because the whole
wall.
point is building different mechs,
Yeah.
building different. Yeah,
Oh
like
no, I'm talking about the Elden Ring and like.
in Elden Ring, it does not fit.
Most metas in video games usually form around things that game designers did not intend. So there are metas or game incentives in Dark Souls the game does not explicitly tell you about, but it does become the optimal way to play, like the red Tearstone ring and things like that, where you see speedrunners find essentially the most efficient way to play the game because they're metagaming. They're not necessarily looking to have fun. Their task is more
Finish the
so
game as
beating
quickly
the
as
game
possible.
in as short a time period
It's
as
the
possible and taking
unbalancing
advantage
rule,
of.
right?
Yeah, their objective when they enter the game is very different than what the game designers necessarily intended. So they're going to take advantage of systems as to the highest degree possible to get the shortest runtime possible.
Well, yeah, but
including game breaking
that's a
like glitches
speedrunning
and level
thing.
skips and stuff like that.
The main idea is we're talking the fact of you go into the game to enjoy, to like absorb the game, enjoy the game, and if you're playing an RPG that is designed around you pick your path, whether you want to be a mage or a monk or a paladin or whatever classes, whichever class you want to do. If you want to use a sword or a shield or just a sword, I think you should minimize the effect of the rock paper scissors concept.
It depends on the type of game.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I don't think the rock paper scissors concept in something like Pokemon, removing that from Pokemon.
Oh no,
would
but
make
that's the thing. Pokemon is built upon that concept.
In Dungeon Siege, the game's Dungeon Siege, it actually punishes you for deviating from your chosen path. So at any point you can switch from melee to ranged, and from ranged to 2 different kinds of magics. But when you do, you absolutely get punished. In the game.
Yeah, well, in RPG kind of game, like my preference is going to be specialization. So that's one of the problems I have with Skyrim is you're kind of allowed to be specialized in everything, and you're not punished at all from navigating away from a stealth archery build and moving more towards a melee build.
Skyrim, and ironically, I play it because it's a sex game, isn't it? That's what Skyrim is.
Remember,
I don't play Skyrim at all. I'm just one of the reasons
I never
I'm
touched
just explaining the reason
Skyrim.
why I don't.
The thing is, I do see the enjoyment of being able to specialize on let's say sword fighting, and throughout the game be able to also specialize in the other stuff and be like, I'll try mage this time, let's see how it goes, and you are able
that's when
to
you get
see.
to replays.
Yeah, but I also see it tedious to like, if I want to play a mage, I have to restart the whole fucking game.
You can play Baldur's Gate 3 as a hyper specialized character, and then the next playthrough you can specialize in something different.
But that's what I'm referring to. Like
some
like certain RPGs are kind of built upon you can try the other classes as well, but it's later in the game and you're not really going through the entire fucking game, because RPGs tend to be extended periods of time to play the game.
So something like
even with like the same class, you have different build options. So if you go as like a melee class, a warrior class,
well, yeah,
you
that's
do, like,
a given.
Dagger, double-handed sword, sword and shield, and the build's different, and it's still drastically.
It's still the same class. It's just a variation of the class. I'm referring mainly to from sword to mage to archer to warlock. Like with certain games like Skyrim, they allow you to enjoy each one and maximize each one roughly at the end of the game.
In Final Fantasy 14,
and that's fine. It's just against my preference.
Yeah,
I don't like that as much.
So in Final Fantasy 14, what they let you do is they let you change class at any point in time, so that you can try out the different experience. Obviously, that's a kind of game where gear matters. So if
why are you whispering?
Gear, my kid and my wife are asleep in the corner, so I am in whisper mode. If you want to hear me, I would recommend turning me up.
I was just curious.
So
Headphones mode.
yeah, sorry I was away. I was lying next to my daughter to get her to fall asleep. She's got a fever.
Damn.
Anyway, no, it's fine. It happens. Anyway, so Final Fantasy 14 has you changing class whenever you want. So you can switch classes when you want to. It refunds you all your skills and all your points, so you can change that. Guild Wars also did that in the original Guild Wars. But
Elden Ring has that too, but there's still, even with you being able to respec your class, there's still a cost-benefit analysis of when you respec, you're now this thing, you're not everything.
sure, yeah. You get to change class when you want to. The frustration in those games is usually you have spent now a lot of time harvesting gear or farming gear that is not catered to your class. So now you have to restart by getting gear that is more suited for your class.
Yeah.
Like a WoW.
And I'm okay with that, because that's the cost-benefit situation, like I said before. But in that kind of game, I wouldn't give you the option to respec at all. I would just, that seems to be contradictory game mechanics in terms of, what you're trying to do, what kind of experience you're trying to craft as a game designer. That seems to go against the cost-benefit analysis. It's like, why would I let you do this if its cost is like you're now unable to play the game because you don't have the gear required to face the next boss?
Doesn't Borderlands 2 kind of constitute this game that's a bit like this, though?
No, in Borderlands you can easily respec.
Doesn't Borderlands 2 kind of let you reset your skill tree?
No, but you do get enough, like you can level up easily to the point where you can maximize each skill tree. You just have to grind the game. Like that would be the only.
You can't reset your skill tree. I can't remember.
No, but you wouldn't have to reset it. You can literally just upgrade the other two skill trees or 3. I don't remember exactly how many.
You would create a different character if you want a different skill tree, but you can maximize the skill tree of your character.
It takes a while to do everything, though. Just like
I know, but that's what I'm talking about. That's what would be balancing the swap.
Skyrim has the drawback of having if you want to fight a dragon, it's like a wizard user, and you've been leveling as a sword user. You just get your ass raped by the dragons.
Yeah.
Well, depends on the difficulty of the dragons, because you could be playing the game in bitch easy mode.
Yeah. Well, the Skyrim puts in the dragon shouts, so even melee-focused builds can have some element of magic available to them.
Just 100%ed Skyrim every day, because I never got to finish that game.
Yeah. Not my ideal RPG, and that's one of the things that made Fallout do more is
New
more
Vegas
towards Skyrim and less towards the original first 2 Fallouts, which is unpleasant for me.
New Vegas is more of my jams.
Yeah, I think New Vegas is probably the better of the Bethesda's Fallout games.
It's
but
the only good one.
Yeah. But I mean, you're probably right.
The Fallout 4 is more stable than it.
Getting into a war here. Maybe
Is
I can
it?
find a diplomatic solution to this mess.
Not by a lot, but it's still more stable. New Vegas needs a lot of. Fallout New Vegas needs a lot of patches or third-party mods that fix certain.
Yeah, mods. Sure. Today,
Yeah.
if you don't like the look
I think
of Vegas or the engine, you're gonna hate it. But the thing is that what it provides in alternative to Fallout 4, it does in strides, and it's still considered to be the best one.
Yeah, but it's not considered to be the best one based on stability.
No.
Oh, I mean, obviously. It was made in like 13 months, right?
It doesn't have a distinct systems from like Fallout 3 and Fallout 76 and the other games. It's more so that the story and the player choice in that story is more
the build systems
that are executed.
Builds
Builds too.
Yeah, the different builds is the big reason why people love it. is because it's the only praise I get all around the board. Is like it's such a specialized build you can do in Fallout New Vegas that you can run HP and just different way of playing.
Fallout 3 had specific builds as well, though, didn't it?
And you could max on everything.
You could? Okay.
Yeah, that's
Yep,
Fallout
I did
in a
it.
nutshell. You can maximize everything if you want.
Yep,
But
that
it
was
does.
Fallout.
It is a tedious
That
thing.
was Fallout 4 and that was Fallout 3. It's not New Vegas. You cannot max on New Vegas.
Which I would argue kind of goes against the point of the franchise.
Yeah.
The style of the franchise, to be more specific.
What would you say, Sanu? Sanu, what did you say? Just say it. Yes, yes.
Great timing, you two.
And the magic 8 ball.
Start up those power cells.
Yes, yes. Yes. Yeah. So Fallout 3 is more like Oblivion, where Oblivion you can get 10 and 100 in everything. And Fallout 4 and Skyrim are the same, where you can just max out on everything eventually. But New Vegas decided, nope, you have to specialize. Pick a build and maximize it. And I'm like, fuck yeah, do that. I need that. I want more of that. And there has
It's like it adds more fun in limiting the player's choices because the moment you give the player too much power, it makes the choices matter, and also it just adds actual challenge to the game.
Also, it designs your RPG character as an RPG, like as in the world.
Oh yeah.
It makes your character feel more alive in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the main.
Yeah.
That's also a bonus. That's also a bonus.
I never finished 4 either.
I didn't, but I know what the ending is.
I reached a point with the underground robot mission where the game basically crashed and corrupted my save to where it was like you have to start over.
Look, let's be fair. Anyone with a brain knows how Fallout 4 ends.
We must find another way
What's
to
that?
charge those
There's
power
multiple endings, so you cannot really say that.
I'm sorry, Simon. Well,
Who's talking
that
here?
That game crash demoralized me so badly that I just did not want to play anymore.
Oh yeah.
I grew up as a PC gamer, so game crashes is like butter and bread to me. I'm used to
No, it wasn't just a game crash. It wasn't just a game crash. It's that I literally could not finish the storyline that on the quest path that I was on, and I was just like, fuck this. Yeah. Yeah. You know.
Okay.
It's too frustrating. Yeah. It's like why would I make any more progress when I could lose my progress at any moment?
I suppose it's the old school gamer route versus the modern
Anakin,
game.
can you pass the charge between the cells?
He's the most gameliest gamer.
So I don't I don't promote old school gaming over modern gaming, like there are benefits to either side. I'm just like, for me, the preference would, for me personally, the preference would be the old school gaming because it feels more fitting to the game.
Well, with something like The Witcher 3, where you don't have autosaves and you have to save manually or lose progress, that's something where, yes, it is your fault as the player for not saving before running into the boss, but it's also not necessarily reasonable to expect the player to know that they're about to walk into a boss that's out-leveled them, and if they haven't saved for like 5 hours, they've just been kind of coasting through the material or in the map.
This kind of sounds like my growing up experience of gaming.
Yeah, well, I grew up with that too, but I am saying that it's better to design around not having those kinds of frustrations in your game, because if it's extreme enough, like with Fallout 4 for me, I'll just stop playing. Or another example, and this is more performance and design issues, but Jedi Survivor. I would spend 30 minutes exploring an area and grabbing all the loot, all the different like design outfits and lightsaber pieces, and then the game would crash, not because I didn't save or whatever, but I would lose all of that progress, and then coming back and re-exploring that area and trying to remember all the stuff I grabbed on the last run, it makes me not want to engage with the material anymore, because I'm being unfairly pushed back to a previous state. Just because the game is like badly designed and not polished.
I still play old games today. I mean, I'm fucking playing Reach as we speak, although Reach has the jump on it, so it doesn't really count.
Yeah.
But I play like Total War and stuff, and I play stuff like that where if you don't save, you better redo hours of gameplay.
Well, my favorite genre is survival horror, and the classic survival horror games that I like, I don't like them because they have this save feature in them. It's more something that I tolerate because I like the other elements so much that I'm willing to ignore loss of progress, and I also know going in with a mindset that I need to, manage my saves, and it's actually part of the decision-making process in terms of game mechanics, but that's not my favorite part about it in terms of resource management.
Definitely, I'll say that's one of the things I've enjoyed with gaming at home, and as time went by, it's like, that day was going, you know what, I think I just need a save over here. It would be fair to them as gamers, to just give them a free one to save or something like that. Well,
if you give me 2 survival horror games, one which has sort of a set save feature and then one that has an autosave, I'll typically choose the autosave if the rest of the game is basically the same.
But I don't hit myself, like I'm really aware that is a privilege of that I get. It's not something that I deserve like that. It is something the game is given to me.
I would much rather have both systems, because I cannot trust autosaving even to this day.
Oh yeah, like there are times when you autosave, you
and an autosave.
Yeah, I like manual autosave as well. That's why I like that.
The stalker game meme of like the fucking F5 and F6, they keep on loading.
Oh yeah, quick. What did Yahtzee say? It's the kind of game where you have to bind quick save and quick load to the left and right mouse button.
Yeah. Oh my god, I have played a lot of the Stalker game, the modded game series.
But have you played Anomaly? Have you got Anomaly?
Yes. Oh yeah, I have played Anomaly. Mainly Gamma as well, but my main appeal of the whole franchise was the modding community.
Just to say to everyone, Anomaly is where they combine all 3 Stalker games into one world.
And it's more realistic, and
there's a lot of changes.
It basically, imagine Attack on, honestly, Anomaly is like a attack on Tarkov. What is it? Escape from Tarkov. Sorry. In this, in the Stalker world.
We lost Ferret. Ferret doesn't like video game talk. He wants to hear. He wants to talk to Delta about episode 1.
No. Actually, yes. Let's do this again. I wasn't here for the show. I need to see it again.
I was just smacked on you for a second. That's scary. You were saying about Storm.
I mean, just playing both sides so that I would come out on top.
Shut up.
But
you're gonna set him off.
I actually am planning on watching the entire Star Wars. What do you call them? It's not a trilogy.
I don't know.
Sagas?
Sagas, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's one saga, it's three trilogies.
It's three tragedies.
I would argue it's two trilogies. One that's cracking and damaging slightly the other, and then the good trilogy.
I would say it's
So,
one long tragedy.
I am considering watching it, watching the OT first, then
How did you watch it growing up? That's the question.
I don't think that really matters that much.
How did? Well, it apparently does because Skull showed his kids the prequels before he showed the trilogy. Orange Trilogy. And I grew up, and he and I grew up watching the Orange Trilogy before we.
But that's the thing.
It changes how you perceive like certain key points in the film.
Not if you're being objective.
Okay, but you don't fucking be objective when you're watching the movie the first time.
No, but when you're watching them, you know which ones are damaging and what. That's my point. Like, I watched the original trilogy when I was a kid, and I did not understand, or they did not entice me at all. I watched and then I watched it later from 1 to 9, and the OT is still the best. Even though I did not care about Star Wars before seeing episode 1, 2, and 3.
So regardless, I agree with you. By the way, 100%. The OT is the best, and I also watched like episode 1.
I'm serious
but
now.
all the
Where is the
manager? Is that even though, as Red Letter Media likes to say, your brain didn't what's it? How's it? It's like you may not have known the difference, but your brain does. Is as a baby, you're taking information.
Brother, I only got into Star Wars when I was in my 20s, so I don't know what you're talking about at all.
No, but regardless of that.
Well, I grew up, I watched the original trilogy, then the prequels as they came out, and then, well, obviously Disney bought it, and then they released their content, and then I was also playing a lot of Star Wars games when I was growing up too. But if I was to watch it today, and I have done rewatches of it, I typically lean towards doing it chronologically.
Yeah.
When I go through a run through of the saga, because as like my storytelling brain, it makes more sense to watch the events as they happen chronologically, rather than in like a Pulp Fiction kind of way.
Wait, hold on, Delta. What do you mean then by you grew up watching?
I didn't grow up watching Star Wars at all. The thing is, I was like 10 years old, saw the original trilogy play on TV. I did not give a shit about them. And later on, a friend of mine was like, yo, do you like Star Wars? And I'm like, no, I do not give a shit about the franchise. And he was like, let's watch them.
Watch it before you were
I watched them, but I didn't understand a lick of them. I did not care about them.
So let me just go ahead and tell you, as a human being, you still absorb every little bit of information.
No, I only remembered bits and pieces. When I got to
so
the...
you don't consciously remember
No,
it,
you cannot do that shit. I love how you're
mental.
telling me how I feel, mate. This is the criticism.
That's how human beings work.
How the fuck
psychology.
Mate,
psychology.
No, Papa Guy, you cannot tell me what I remember and what I felt when I didn't remember or understood a thing. They were in English. English is not my main language. I didn't understand a thing.
Conscious means you can remember it very clearly.
Yeah, but I'm remembering the scenes. I remember what happened visually, but that's about it. I had no reference for it.
But you are programmed as a baby,
brother.
How to see
okay,
the world.
I would like you to watch
that?
a Norwegian movie. I would like you to watch a Norwegian movie and tell me what your experience is without understanding the fucking language. You'll remember scenes, but you won't understand jack shit.
Reading into it and creating a narrative that does not match, just purely off of visuals. But I would still apply the movie from my own perspective.
You understand developmental psychology has been around for quite a while, right?
And you understand that it doesn't fucking fit the scenario, because to fit the scenario you would need me to understand like for me to understand the fucking movie, so I can, like, I need to understand what the fuck is going on for me.
You can dismiss things. That's all. That everybody dismisses. Like I can dismiss Joel's stories and be like, whatever, who gives a fuck? And then later in my life go, oh, you know what? I want to hear Joel's story, and then I'll absorb his information actively. That's two different ways of consuming.
We also recontextualize things. Like if you have a memory when you're a kid and you interpret that memory one way, and then you remember it later on in your life, you recontextualize it in your own brain by bringing new meanings to it that you didn't interpret at the original time. Or your interpretation of a piece of art can change drastically. Like you might have grown up with a song and then grown to hate it through desensitization. You know, being overexposed to certain music. Like I liked Red Hot Chili Peppers when I was a kid. I've been overexposed to them and now I can't stand them.
And you as a child absorb information that goes and sits in your memory banks. It's part of your brain, your hindbrain.
Okay, was there ever a movie that you watched that you didn't understand, did not care about, just you know what, you remember bits and pieces from it, but that's about it? Nothing more, nothing less.
Cowboy Bebop.
So
I hated Cowboy Bebop as a kid. Every time I caught it, I couldn't stand it as a child, and now it's one of my favorite shows. Same thing with Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah, so of course the answer is going to be yes. I did watch movies like that. That doesn't mean it didn't affect me in no way. That means it still had an effect on me.
What effect can it have?
I contextualized it as I got older.
But what effect can it have considering you don't understand what's going on? Or
the frustration is, as human beings, we don't know everything that goes on with us. There's a lot of things that happen to us that we don't understand or are not in control of. Especially things we absorb through media, things we absorb through engaging with the world.
And if I told you I didn't
and other people.
And if I tell you I didn't absorb anything from seeing the OT when I was 10 and I did not care about it, can you fucking accept that?
Well,
yeah,
I agree.
I didn't absorb very much from Cowboy Bebop.
Exactly. Like if you don't absorb anything from it because you just do not care, what's the fucking point of saying it does affect you?
He deafened you. You forgot that, Sano.
The cloner's on Camino.
I'm so sorry, Sano. Delta, Sano is asking you to stop turning him down because it's very frustrating.
Oh no, I muted him like yesterday. I just do not fucking want to listen to that fucking stupid argumentation again.
I will say that.
I'm sorry. The fact that you fucking cannot accept what Palpatine's goal is from the get-go is so fucking simple. Come on. I just do not want to interact with that.
Mate, I'm just gonna say this explicitly. It's a very petty move to do that.
Me not wanting to argue with him or hear him.
Conversation functionally difficult too when we're talking about one of Sano's points in relation to the conversation we're currently having, and you were out of the loop.
No,
so we
were talking about the prequels and how they affected. We were talking how we watched the prequels. That's it.
The frustration is that you will now, from now on, be talking over him when he speaks, and it's actually very inconsiderate of him.
Because he did that to me last night, so I do not care. I'm sorry. I give as I get.
He didn't mute you, though. Oh, definitely.
Well, no, I muted him so I don't fucking start more bullshit argumentations with him.
Alright, but I want you to know that I don't approve of it, but I'm not going to stop you from doing it. I just don't approve.
I disapprove. I've been on the internet for 20 years. I have yet to mute or ban a single person and not engage with them, even if they are extremely frustrating.
I just don't want to engage with them. That's it.
I've hosted, and on my channel, I've hosted like very long conversations with people that are frustrating. I have never removed anybody.
Fancy learning something new?
Me muting him is literally so I don't have to listen to bullshit. That's basically it. I don't want to engage with this person. Simple as that.
I'm willing to engage with anyone, even people I find despicable.
That's you. That's not me. I don't want to waste my fucking time on stupid fucking debates that I'm not being listened to or even given the benefit of the doubt. I find that's as scummy as mischaracterization. Like, what's the point of me talking to a person?
I'm willing to participate and engage with people even if I find them to be bad faith. So that's just my preference.
I tried that. It's just a huge fucking waste of time. So I might not bother. I might as well not bother.
Yeah, I caught part of it. I didn't think that conversation was bad faith at all, and it was nice and refreshing to have a conversation about Andor being presented that wasn't bad faith, because the last few I'd seen have been pretty wild, and I haven't even seen Andor, so I don't have strong positions one way or the other on the quality of the show. I've been considering watching it just to be able to participate in the conversation in a more meaningful way.
We decided to come and rescue you. Good job.
Yeah.
I can see that.
I'm also, the only reason I would watch it is just to participate in the conversation, because I am so thoroughly checked out on Star Wars as a whole, just because of the damage that's been done. Yeah. Well, even watching the first season of Mandalorian, which I consider to be overall pretty good, that was not enough to re-engage me into the franchise, you know what I mean? Yeah, it was okay. Like, I'm not like it's really good, just to be specific with my words. It's fine, you know? Well, I probably will watch it again, mainly just to be able to participate in the conversations that have been happening, to offer my 2 cents. So just being able to be a part of it is the main reason. Well, I'm open-minded about it.
Good job.
Like,
really, this time.
Look, baby.
Which one first, Master?
No, I'm open-minded about it. I'm not prejudging the show. I've heard both sides, you know, and I'm not in it. Yeah, no, I don't think you are.
Oh, Worm's actually just stating his position. He's not saying you are judging him.
Yeah.
I don't think
I will engage with it with those. No. Yeah, I don't think you are. I'm just saying that the way, and we haven't talked a whole bunch, so you don't understand sort of my artistic ethos.
Worm and I tend to explicitly state our position before we get into a thing, so that there's no misconception around the matter.
Yeah, exactly. But I will engage with it as a piece of art, first and foremost, even if there's a conversation. But the reason why I'm going into it is to have the conversation. It doesn't mean I'm going to go into it with the mindset of only looking at it through the lens of the conversation that we have. Like, I'm going to take it on its full stride. Like, I'm a very abstract thinker. I like very abstract art. My favorite movie is The Holy Mountain. I like weird movies. Weird I'm kind of an eccentric when it comes to art, but when I talk about art, I am talking about you know, the metrics of what the objective and subjective things that are interesting about. Yeah. Yeah. No, and that's just, you know, you don't know sort of enough about me to know how you know, you'll get more familiar.
You know where he comes from. I was making a joke, don't worry.
Oh my god, you should be ashamed. Such a bad.
Where's the whip? Wait.
What the fuck?
How dare we? Get me a whip so I can start lashing myself.
This party's over.
Well, I'm just here to play both sides. Come out on top.
Shut the fuck up, word.
Jump, you piece of shit.
He used that line the whole time yesterday with the fucking Palpatine argument.
I've never gotten more utility out of an Always Sunny reference than that one.
Dooku's droid army. Obi-Wan was right. That wall will soon be.
Yeah. I think you can couch criticism in humor in a really funny way. Of like, whenever we hit this button again, the meme comes back, and so that's the only reason I kept saying it. Yeah. So.
Sorry, Sana. What did you want to say before I cut you off with a stupid joke?
Bounty hunter!
They are masters. This bounty hunter is clever and well prepared.
Well, he's up against one of the most skilled Jedi alive.
Me or you?
It takes more than fireworks and a jetpack to defeat a Jedi.
You tell him, Master Windu.
Yes! Thank you, Master Mundi. Supportive as always.
No, it's still the. Yeah, so the main thing, you have some accuracy in what you're saying, because I am going into this with having conversations in mind. I will be basically taking mental notes. Like I will be. It's going to be more difficult for the show to immerse me, just for the simple fact that I'm going to be paying very close attention, very observant, have the notepad out in terms of critiques and things that the show's doing well, things that the show's doing poorly. But it's not going to be focused on a specific talking point, more so just in general, as opposed to just what normally happens is I go into a movie and then I just watch the movie, and then unless something sticks out to me to break that immersion, now my critical brain is fully activating. But for me that's not a huge difference from how I normally watch movies, because usually I am critically thinking about the media I consume as I experience it for the first time, just generally because of the way my brain is wired. So I'm going to be focusing more on that, but it's not necessarily a huge step away from how I normally engage with this sort of stuff in the first place.
I hate red letter media and Muller because that's what I became.
Because
I wasn't. I am now because I'm not because I didn't grow up I didn't go study media literacy or writing or arts or anything like that. So I never studied the construction of a film or anything like that. I was more into human beings. I was just more focused on what you say, how you say it, what your nonverbal communication is, the context of your discussion, your experiences. That's what my focus is. And when I go watch a movie, my brain will shut off, and then more I get past it,
you watch more passively.
And yes, I retardedly watched like my wife and my sister do, And now I can't.
Well, I've always been that way. So finding Muller and critics like him was more of a finding my community, because even since I was in middle school and high school, I was always deconstructing art in a really detailed way in terms of the more interesting aspects of a film or a TV show. That's always been sort of my bag. So there wasn't a significant change finding them.
Yeah. For me,
Don't get me wrong.
The same way as you, Papa. But for me, it was this is a path of pain for me, because everyone around me has criticized me for it. My mom fucking tells that I'm too analytical, but fucking entire Discord, everyone fucking hates me for it. But I walk this path alone. But now I don't walk it alone. Now I don't.
Good to see you're alive. I will say this, however, I don't blame, I shouldn't actually say that I blame them, that's unfair, because I actually enjoy it. I like looking at movies like this, it's actually kind of fun for me.
Well, it gives you a new perspective when you're like you're able to, in my mind, the way I kind of view it is that when you're able to deconstruct something to its barest components, you're able to more fully appreciate when something is operating at a very high level. It's more beautiful. So if you're watching a movie passively, it can affect you and it can be beautiful and it can be all these things. But then when you're actually, able to deconstruct it, like you're looking at a gym, and if you're a gemologist, or I don't know what those guys are called, they're able to see sort of the structures in it that sort of resonate in a more symbolic way as to being able to appreciate it to a much higher degree.
I appreciate it now because I actually went to go watch Batman vs Superman and Man of Steel and walked out of it going, I don't know why I hate this, but I hate this. And I walked out of episode 2 when I was 12 years old, and I was like, I don't know why I dislike this, but I dislike this. And I'm very grateful now because now I can put words to why I disliked a thing when I was younger, and I can put words to why I like it. Yeah. Because there's so much action.
Yeah.
But now you can put words to the now you can put words to the feeling.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. It's
one may say,
It was like that when we got here. Understood.
No longer enjoy things like now at times you are now things that could have made you happy now won't make you happy, and like
so that's my new goal now, Joe, actually, is like I want to do psychological discipline. I'm training myself to be able to shut off the analytical side when I need it. I'm training myself to go, that needs to go away, and now it's just enjoyed for what it is. And you know what, I thought I couldn't do that. And a few months ago, my wife went and showed me some stupid ass fucking rom-com that I hate rom-coms like to a core, and it turned out that this rom-com she decided to show, or romance drama, happened to be The Notebook, and I just decided not to turn on my analytical brain, and I just watched it mindlessly, and you know what? I enjoyed what I could take away from it, and I was happy. I was absolutely happy in that moment to just enjoy it. And then afterwards, I decided to analyze it. And I said, okay, there's flaws in it. But you know what? I can appreciate now more a broader context to it than I would have if I just tried to analyze the film, sitting while watching the film.
I don't have so much that problem because there's tons of stuff that I like that I'll admit is kind of terrible. And then I also like bad movies as well, in terms of movies that are such catastrophic.
Troll 2, right? Fucking Troll 2 is great.
Troll 2, great example. Like
but
I very
I'll
nearly love that movie.
We're you and I need to sit down and watch shitty movies together. That's what we need to do, you and I.
I want to do it. Can I join you?
I'll invite you guys. I'll invite you guys.
It's just so much fun, but things that are more serious is like I kind of like Daredevil Born Again. I kind of like the Venom movies. I kind of like
Sacrilege.
Burn the heretic.
It's because
I'm not going to recommend these movies to anything, and I'll tell you exactly what it is. I'm a huge Venom fanboy, and so just seeing the character on live action is the bare minimum requirement of what will make me like the film. Just seeing the character.
And just seeing Tom Hardy like doing it, right?
I can't even recommend these things to people who also like the character. Like that's
I can feel him too, man.
That's kind of what I like.
When you say word, that's a thing you've kind of developed now, is that you have now the ability to say the words, I won't recommend this to people.
Yeah.
I will watch it, but I won't recommend it to people.
Time to make our big
Well, the reasons I like it are entirely personal to me.
Yeah, and that's what I will do whenever I talk about Total War Warhammer. I'll be like, I love this. I do not recommend it to fucking people. Even
Well, and
though
I've always had to do that. You know, I've always had to understand that some of the things I like are very niche. So survival horror, I grew up playing survival horror, and I was punished multiple times for recommending survival horror to people that are never going to like that based off of their own preferences. Same thing in almost every other regard. Like, I like weird fuck movies and I like weird fuck music, and I understand that there's two versions of me, right? There's the version of me that will recommend something because I love it.
What is with this weird fuck and this good fuck, you know? There's a gay wolf and a gay wolf. You're gay.
I will recommend this selfishly because I just want to share this aspect of me, my personality, my appreciation with someone else. And then there's the recommendation that's selfless, where I've handpicked and curated something that I'm recommending to you because I
for you,
like it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I do that now as well, yeah.
Because of how eccentric I am, like, and I have a lot of exposure on all of these different fronts. And so it's much easier for me to curate, you know, when I have listened to like every single genre of music and can pick out examples of things that I think objectively are exemplary within this genre, versus things that are more subjective to me, where it's like, I listen to this song, I love it, but I don't think many other people will like this for this, you know, at all. They'll be like, yeah, geez, this is like torture.
I think this is the gift of the jack of all trades. Like, I've never liked being a jack of all trades, but I think this is because you never get to be good, right? Master of none. But
no,
that
quote is not complete, right?
There's value to it. It's like you are diversifying yourself so much, it's difficult to actually specialize in anything, right? That's the whole jack of all trades.
I still have the specialties in terms of my media preferences. You know, like if we're talking about movies, I tend to lean towards horror and sci-fi. But I also appreciate Lord of the Rings, even though that's out of my element. It's just not going to be my favorite movie because it's drenched in fantasy drapings.
Come on, bitch, you love fantasy. Don't lie to me.
No, not really. I will take sci-fi over fantasy any day of the week. I appreciate fantasy. Okay. Yeah, I appreciate fantasy.
I'm a fantasy. I'm a fantasy guy.
I am.
Well, I think it's just like left brain, right brain
if it has
in terms
big
of whether you
movies,
like
like
fantasy
it.
or sci-fi.
Maybe.
That's your metric.
Wait, the quote is jack of all trades.
Master of none.
Wait, master of none, though oftentimes better than master of one.
Why do you flee from us?
Yeah, I will agree with that.
So the whole quote is jack of trades, master of none, though oftentimes better than master of one. So the quote is basically yeah. And I actually get that more because, like, that is exactly what you were saying before with, you know, you're able to put it into words now. You're able to describe more from it instead of just saying, I like it. Why? Because the saber was red. Because it made me feel good. he vadered or I just like during my workout session.
Guys, you missed the part where he morbed the
Morbid time.
The morbid time. But like, yeah. Here's the thing, do you think like people tell me that you can dissect the thing, you'll oftentimes lead to you eating it? Is that also valid? Like,
no, because I think most people aren't able to compartmentalize. Like, maybe I am just like a special snowflake through my autism, but like I said, there's tons of stuff that I appreciate and I like. Yeah.
Almost everyone on this server has autism.
Probably.
I can promise you. I promise you, you probably have autism.
No, I have a psychologist, and I've been, you know, diagnosed and stuff, and the last test I took was like 80 to 90% like markers for autism, so very high high likeliness, and we're still
And
working
you're
on it.
really retarded.
I am super I'm super autistic.
You're on the proper special scale.
But the thing is, like, to address your point,
This is why I'm not registered to a board, by the way, Worm. This is why I'm not registered to a board, because I would get kicked out that quickly just calling people retards.
You have severe retardation.
Absolutely. Oh my word. You're on the edge. You're edging.
He's edging, boys.
I can still deconstruct stuff and compartmentalize and still like it, while also acknowledging that in the deconstruction everything falls apart in terms of its logical incoherence. It's like I can still see the things I like about something while also acknowledging the gaping flaws, plot holes, issues that you know, keep it from being objectively good.
Well, that's the autistic side of you.
There's very few
it's
things.
just the ability to separate my peas and mashed potatoes, basically, when I'm having a subjective and the objective conversation. So, like I said, I can understand very easily that the Venom movies are terrible, but I like Tom Hardy. I think he's a solid actor. I like the character. You know, there are elements that I appreciate about it that some of those are objective, but they don't do enough to make up for the flaws of the film. And then the reason why I like it, that it's easier for me to watch it, is because of the elements that I do like that are purely subjective and personal.
The thing is, right, I had an experience where, so Arcade Season 2, I watched it, and that was one of the few times I was actually, like, generally, unlike you, Papa, I do. It's kind of weird. If I really like the series and I'm really hyped for it, my brain can be switched off very easily, right? So, but if I'm watching it intentionally with an intent of just watching it for the sake of it, then I will be more analytical because there's no personal investment in it. For it.
No, that's you choosing to take effort to. It's as Delta said earlier, you're now consciously watching
when
that's
I watched,
opposed to passively watching.
Yeah. When I watched Arcane Season 2, I had very mixed feelings, but kind of positive, but very questioning. But I'm pretty sure if I wasn't as analytical, I would have concluded and said.
Welcome
but
home,
because
Lord
I eventually watched random film talks video series,
War has begun.
which is amazing, by the way. He's fucking one of the. Personally, I find him. I enjoy his videos more than Mauler's and more than Platoon's personally. But like, I really like his videos. And I watched it, and genuinely, after I watched this series, I now hate what Arcade Season 2 has done to these characters that I have personally beloved so much. To the point where I don't know if I can even watch that series anymore without getting angry.
So,
because of how much butchery they have done.
Well, those things exist in the media. You may have reached the same point if you had rewatched Arcane Season 2 multiple times. You could have would eventually have grown to hate it. It was inevitable.
So I'll put it two ways.
I'm an inedibility.
I'll put it two ways, the question. One way is that, yeah, as Worm says, you would have gotten to that eventuality anyway, and these guys essentially put words to your thoughts, which is fine. That's absolutely good, okay, because believe it or not, one of the fundamental things that we believe, or at least one of the foundational things that we believe in, I would say arguably in psychology that we don't say out loud, is that you do require another person to kind of help you soundboard through a lot of the shit that's going on in your head. Right? There's a lot going on inside that very complex machine called the brain, right? And helping to put word to the method actually helps. And there are only a handful of people on the planet who have the ability to go in a reflective mode to say what you wanted to say, what you want to think, and they want to jump empathetically into your.
Careful, Papa, you're gonna get me talking about Neon Genesis here in a second.
they'll help you to contextualize the things that you say. So the nice thing is
think-
YouTube has personalities that tell you that, but technically history is it's full of personalities like that. So it's not much different than like having
what
like
kind
a
of personality?
like a personality that reflects the thought you have. So historically, there would have been a noble who would have stood for a lot of the things that you had said, or a politician that would say things that you feel or think about the world, and that would put power to your thought. Now, today, you've got internet personalities, which, in my opinion, is a lot safer than the other options.
Yeah, I would say it's not safer, considering that some internet personalities, like Movie Bob, do still have a following, whether we like it or not.
I'll say it's safer in comparison to a noble and to a politician, because
Fair enough.
you are giving them power when you give them your vote of confidence.
Yeah,
But
Movie
yeah,
Bob has like social power. He doesn't have like political power.
Does Movie Bob have? Isn't he
Thank fucking
diminished in
God for
social
that.
power?
Yeah, well, yeah, because
yeah,
through his own means of being an effete navigator of the space, he's taught himself any sort of relevancy that he would have had.
And I'm gonna be transparent here. I actually liked Movie Bob when I was a teenager. When I was 16, back in 2005, 2006, I liked Movie Bob. I thought his stuff was cool. He introduced me to comics. He introduced me to like schlocky movies like Godzilla and stuff like that. I thought it was great. It was around about 2015, 2016 when I really started realizing, oh, this guy's unhinged. He is actually unhappy and probably emotionally and mentally unstable. And I sent him a personal message, just so everyone knows, I sent him a personal message on escapist.com. Like, if he needs to deal with that, I've got a colleague who specializes in sorting that shit out. Obviously, I got no response, but yeah. But I just want everyone to know where I stand in regards to Movie Bob. There's things I can like about him, but he is like the fallen. It's very funny. He talked about Kevin Smith as the fallen hero, and I'm just like, yeah, Movie Bob, that's projection. Pretty much like everything you do nowadays. Honesty through projection. And I'm just like, guess that's kind of you nowadays.
Mine was CinemaSins. This is early YouTube days, but they were one of the first like pretty popular movie review channels, I guess, in the space. And I never really thought too much about. They were always the sort of thing that you just kind of watch passively, So
yeah.
I
You're
didn't
there for
really.
the jokes. You're there more for the jokes than the actual criticism.
With their critiques and stuff, like they never formed my opinions on whether something was good or not, but they weren't something that I thought very much about. It was just, like I said, usually something playing in the background or something that, they'd have a specific joke that I thought was pretty funny, or, you know what I mean? I never really took them as critique that I would need to fully think through or analyze in terms of how effective, and they benefit as well, because a lot of their videos I'm watching about movies that I'm not even that familiar with, have never seen or haven't seen in a long time. So that gave them a nice defense in terms of like they could say something inaccurate, and because I haven't seen this movie for the last 5 years, I wouldn't notice.
And for me, to be honest, Red Letter Media, the same thing. Like, it took me a while to start realizing Red Letter Media had their own biases. It took me till a good proper 3 years to realize, this is Red Letter Media, they've got their own biases. But when it started
biases, but I still think that as review content, they are generally, they teeter towards the side of accuracy.
They do. They try to a lot. They do have issues. I would say. No,
I agree.
Too,
and for me, it was Critical Drinker with
videos that are like wrong.
Yeah, and for me, it was like Critical Drinker with because I always thought of him on the same category as Mahler, but now I realize he's different.
No,
But
Muller, I definitely saw immediately is different in execution.
Well, even with Red Letter Media, the Plinkett reviews was sort of the first example of a long form, deep dissection of a film series that showed that format can work really well on YouTube. And
no,
since those
that's
Plinkett
not what I
reviews,
meant. I meant like
but
more
since those
in.
Plinkett reviews, I've been seeking more of that sort of content, which Mahler provides, and some of YMS's videos provide as well.
I hate that Mahler
Also
stopped doing videos. I really enjoyed his long form critiques.
Who's this? Who did
Mahler.
that talk about?
He said Mahler.
Okay.
Yeah, I really hate that he stopped doing them. Like, as much I enjoy
I understand he
EFAP.
can't do it for everything just because it's such a time sink for him. And sometimes it's sort of like animation. You don't get a lot of animators on YouTube because the amount of work they put into versus the amount of money they get paid out of that production is usually just not worth it unless they are just like, I have to make this video because it's a passion project. And so I don't blame Mahler and YMS for moving towards short-term content because that is probably more profitable for them until a specific movie comes out where they feel like they need to have a full dissection.
But that's the right way to do it.
The monetization was built towards having an equal payout for something for the amount of work you put into it, as opposed to YouTube looking at a 2-hour video about like Soma and then looking at a 5-minute video about Soma and having like the same payout.
Yeah. Because man's gotta eat, right?
Yeah, and so I don't blame it for him. I wish we would, YouTube had the ability to support more long form content in terms of how they divvy out their part.
There are people talking to them about it though.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, Mahler was getting paid since the Dark Souls reviews here. Like,
oh, he's getting paid out. It's just whether or not the amount of time. If you spent months working on something as an exclusive project for one video, there's not going to be an incentive structure in terms of payouts, as opposed to someone who's putting out, 5-minute videos that get millions of views, and they're doing that at a high level of frequency. That's going to pay you out more, but that also takes a lot less work than the 2-month video.
yeah, the thing is, though, he has EFAP behind him as a paying method, but he used to do videos while doing EFAP. It's just now he seems to like focus mainly on EFAP.
The frustration.
Well, the YouTubers themselves have solved the problem. They use Patreon, they use merch, they use other ways to supplement their income to make it easier for them to do more of those long form like passion projects where it's now financially viable, more so. But the incentive still exists that making 500 5-minute videos versus 2 or 3 6-hour videos or huge series.
The other thing you need to also think about is that with Mahler's long form critiques, he has to divide those videos up into multiple different things, and like the nature of a series is eventually the people will lose interest when you cover the same topic for a long period of time. Like the main thing with the bullshittery videos. Wait, bullshittery? No, I'm thinking of Soviet Wombo.
Yeah.
The Ramblematic.
Yeah.
What is? Yeah. Those videos. It's like it's one package. It's one package that it's put there and people can come and see it. It's not for giant. Huh?
Well, I also understand that I have an attention span that is when I'm interested in the concept, I can expend a lot of time focusing on just the one thing.
Now we have
people are not like that, and the internet does tend to incentivize and reinforce like a more spastic sort of TikTok sort of doom scrolling through. Here's a short video that's 5 seconds. Here's a short video.
That's another thing to consider is the psychology of the internet-osphere. So the studies have proven that with the introduction of Vine videos, TikTok videos, attention spans, there's actually a development towards ADHD personalities occurring because of these videos, you're now exposing your children to these kind of Vines, TikTok kind of short-length videos, and you're literally developing little children to have ADHD personality, like short-term.
Those neural pathways are forming in response to the input.
It's not pseudoscience. You can actually develop different mental pathways in children by exposing them to different things. That's why religion exists. One of the big things that religion does is it creates delayed gratification. Delayed gratification is you don't get a reward now, you get a reward later. They just took it to the extreme, of course, like afterlife, right? But delayed gratification actually allows you to create a long-term patience/wait mentality so that you can sit through a bit of stuff to get a payoff later. And that is something that the new generation is seeing less and less of statistically among research. This is why I'm keeping my kids away from fucking YouTube and TikTok and
good for you.
crap.
Good.
Because I am not going to have my kids suffer through life by not having an attention span.
It is made.
Yeah, I guess TikTok would be one of the short extremes, and religion is one of the long extremes.
Sure. Well, each in its own. What's the word I'm looking for? Each in its own.
Its own right.
Everything in its own right. You don't want to have too much of one, not too much of the other, but you don't want to restrict them from either one, because that will lead them to have like a very extreme, like you don't want to have extreme middle position either. You want to slowly have, there's a balance, and I'm going to say that's depending on you as a parent. But for me, I've decided I'm going to slowly introduce them to YouTube and internet media when they're about the age of about 7, 8, 10, but still not give them access, like full access to it. That I want to give them once they can prove they can discipline themselves.
Hey, Papa, when you, can we keep in contact? Like when I get my own, because I can use you as like an experiment basis of how to raise these gremlins in this modern day.
I don't think I'm gonna disappear from Discord anytime soon. So if you got me added on Discord, we're Gucci, bro. We're good. But yeah, one of it, yeah. So I'll tell you, by the way, I'll give you input if you want to know how it's going with my kids and their attention span. So far, it's really going good with my 3-year-old, who's almost 4, and my 1-year-old, because I limit their access to media.
I have a question.
And I select the media for them. Like I personally select their media. Yeah. Until a certain age, and then I want them to explore. I do want them to explore. But then they have the discipline, they have the foundation put in place around which they'll be able to
wait a minute.
The problem is that it doesn't matter what age you are, this shit will corrupt you even if you're in our fucking 80s.
Sure, but at a certain age you will have a framework already designed around your mind that you can revert back to. This is a thing that in child development, it's an important thing. This is why psychologists and therapists always go back to your child experiences, because those were your formative years, hence why the term formative years. That's the time when your world, your reality is shaped. And it's usually shaped by your people, your culture, your early childhood experiences, and your parents. That's the most important part. Parents, your parental figures. This is why orphans suffer in life. Because if they don't have parental figures to kind of refer back to, they end up not having a core foundation. So, by the way, in case you guys didn't know, orphans end up being least successful in careers, relationships, just all across the board in life. Which is why Batman is such a fantastical tale.
Which would you rather though, like orphan or bad parent?
Sorry, what did you say?
I think this is an example of why The Watchmen is such a good deconstruction of taking characters like Batman as an archetype and bringing them into the real world and actually addressing like if you are a type of person that has zero compromise in your moral framework, you end up like Rorschach, deficient socialization, living in the streets, sleeping in dumpsters, and completely fixated and obsessed with your unbending crusade. There is no moral gray area for Rorschach, and then they even do it in the comics where this even
I wish I
plays
read
out
the
into
comics.
political philosophy. Well, if you're interested, the HBO has a good mini-series animated comic that's fairly well voiced over.
I've got a family friend who has the comics in his house, so I can just borrow it from him. But I really should just ask him if I can borrow it.
Yeah, that's
no, just steal it. Just steal it.
I mean,
you can even get away with it.
Damn straight, you know it. Sorry, Delta, what did you say?
I said, which would you rather have, like, a kid be an orphan or a kid have bad parents?
The frustration is bad parents is better than no parents. Because you still have a framework from which you work when you look at the world and life. Even if it's not good, you can still as a person eventually reject your parents' viewpoint and decide to go a different way.
You can use them as because I have a parent
bad parents.
Really good. It's like a flawed one. They're not horrible.
Anyway.
But
what's
like
the,
you
what's
would
the
use
Peterson
them.
thing where he's like, "Have you forgiven your dad?"
Anyway.
So you would basically like now I know what not to do.
Yeah, that's the thing is that's the framework.
I've heard a lot of people say where you either become your parents or you become the opposite of them.
Yeah, so you become like your parents or you reject your parents. That's the framework I'm talking about, the foundation. Whereas if you have no parents, you just have strangers. People wouldn't really love you I'm not gonna say unconditional because that's also a lie. Parents don't really love you unconditionally. They love you conditionally, but it's about as close as to an unconditional love as you can get from human beings. I
agree with you. I was gonna say the same thing before you got to it.
But I'll say this: is like if you don't have that framework, you're gonna be lost in this world, in this reality. You're gonna basically be aimless. And this is one of the problems that we have with like the United States in their single parenting. Like, I want to say, it's not a fair word, but like epidemic.
The thing is, this is a problem even with parents. There's a lot of people that are lost even despite having two parents.
There's too many incentives that allow for families to break up.
Delta's onto a point here, which I'm probably gonna agree with. Carry on, Delta.
Like, even if you have parents or not, like in today's world, you can be lost so easily because your parents would be like, stay in school, get a good job, get married. Like, they would give you a template idea of what to do. Like, even if they're like the best parents out there, the problem is like diploma means nothing anymore. So even if you do stay in school, like all you will do is basically like harm the time of a child, because they would think, oh, I just need to get a diploma. Psych, it does nothing to me.
So what the parents
you're describing is a second order effect, which is downstream from the nuclear family being broken apart, which is the dismemberment of communities, which technology has amplified and expedited.
Well, you put it very.
So you can have really great parents and still end up lost.
Well, the point is that you're still gonna be lost.
Yeah. So so you can have parents who are negligent, who are absolutely like They're not abusive because they hit you. They're abusive because they neglect you. They're abusive because they're not there in your life. But it doesn't mean you still don't have a observable framework from which to operate from. Where a orphan has literally, this is why I tell people like who have like a mom who slept. I literally have this. I have a kid who hates his mom because his mom cheated on her dad and his dad, and then he has a huge issue with her like being grown up. Like, you don't understand. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna say that's a good thing. That's not a good thing, but you don't understand the value of having a mom still around. He may have had a negative experience towards women now as a result of it, but the thing is that the fact that he has any experience at all is something to be rejoiced. Like, he doesn't understand what it is to have no experience at all, to just have a
It increases the likeliness of course correction.
Yeah. So he has something he wants to go towards or away from, or more specifically, as opposed to.
Would you say that somehow YouTube, like social media platforms, somehow?
Joe, get closer to your fucking mic.
Sorry. Fuck. Fuck. What I'm saying is, do you think that the social media and YouTube can help an orphan be and help them in developing?
This is the yes.
I know.
Yeah.
Community and then maybe social media would be the weakest.
So Sano's right. It's yes. Super big fucking asterisk next to the yes. It's
Ecliptic asterisk.
Absolutely. Like, the asterisk needs to be as big as the yes. You can. The beauty about social media is it's brought a lot of things to the possibility of humanity. The frustration is it's also brought a lot of fuck-uppery to society.
Well, I'm not blackpilled on social media. I'm just waiting that, like, over the next 50 years we're gonna adapt around the technology instead of the unhealthy ways we currently use it.
Sure. Yeah. The frustration is that social media is never going to 100% be able to provide you what you need from the physical presence of another human being. You need that. Yeah. You absolutely.
Well, I forgot which philosopher it was, but he made the point. It's the philosopher that was the foundational architecture of the Matrix, where he made the point that the digital would supersede the real.
Yeah, carry on.
Well, he made the point that the digital realm would become more real than reality.
Yeah, I forgot his name. He wasn't a actual philosopher. What was he? He was actually he wasn't even.
I don't remember.
He wasn't a philosopher. He was in 1800s. I actually want to say
what?
Like
oh
late
my
1800s.
God, we're
late
turning
1800s.
into the video's worst word to destroy.
Economist. No. He was talking about virtual. But remember, virtual had a different definition back in the late 1800s. It just meant your imagination back in those days. So
you can still use it with that descriptor today.
Sure, yeah. Plato, of course, and Socrates, yeah. What was the worm? What's the Stoic guy called again?
Oh, Marcus Aurelius.
Aurelius, yeah. Aurelius is look, Stoicism itself was not really directly related to the Enlightenment, but the Enlightenment people love referring to him when it comes to a lot of the morality.
Oh my god, this game is driving me nuts.
Yeah. I don't blame them. I don't blame them. I don't blame. Yeah, Risto. And failed.
Like, listen, Rome was pretty good. Come on. Yeah.
Rome wasn't as gay.
Yeah, come on yourself, guy.
Rome and the Graecan period had a lot of competing gays. Okay, like it was a bit of a battle when it came to like who could outgay the gay. I will say this: Rome was a lot more open sexually than the the Greeks. You know.
Are you? Of course, the other fucking character had to go. Fuck this game.
Yeah. So to bring it back to the social media aspect, myself and Dr. Huberman, I've had this thought now. Before I knew Dr. Huberman had the same thought. I definitely believe there is pheromonal relationship with being engaging with a human being face to face. There's no evidence of it. In fact, roughly only 50% of humanity have the gland that can absorb pheromones, at least from what we can do in studies at the moment. So there's no explicit
the most
evidence.
Evidence-based support of it is like in terms of scent. Like if you go to a romantic partner's house and their place smells bad, or they have BO, that will influence your decision as to whether you'll sort of validate them as a romantic partner or not. And some people just smell better for your own particular preferences. So it would be sort of that would be the most that I've seen in terms of pointing towards this.
Talk about smells again?
Pheromones.
Sorry, AFK.
Pheromonology. What's the secret scent that I need to put on my body to attract a mate?
Oh my god. Whoa. God.
We just need to develop a love potion that will be all squared away.
Oh god, the morality of the fucking love potion. Is it?
Joel, you will learn to love me.
I love you already. If we'll marry if we can play some video games.
Oh.
Yeah.
What's that, Dono?
Wait, so he can go there. No. Oh, the parkour in this game is so fucking ass. It's pissing me off.
Is there any videos you wanted to react to or talk about?
Well, the videos, I'm less of a, I will produce people that we can watch together in terms of like an EFAP, more so that I will recommend artistic expression. Oh, I'm sure a lot of the people in here have plenty of those in the barrel loaded and ready to go, but if I recommend something in terms of a video, it's usually going to be like an artistic thing for us to watch together that we can talk about more so than a reviewer that we can critique or a reviewer that we can like agree with. I don't mind. I'm not going to recommend those kind of things.
Are they funny?
That's
the main
I
thing,
don't like
though.
Matt Walsh. Matt Walsh is
Are
in the
they-
world unite.
Oh.
Well, it's just you take Matt Walsh and you take his brain out, and then you're probably operating at your level of what you're talking about. Yeah.
I kind of want to watch this video now. I want to watch
Yeah,
this
Martin
video,
Luther King Jr. was a communist, and he agreed with Malcolm X. Jesus.
What?
Yeah, the brain rot is like I don't know if you guys have played Signalis, but the big thing in that game is the psychic cancer. So it kind of feels like that.
Interesting.
Oh, thank fucking God. Finally did it.
I think Synthetic Man is a grifter. Like, I think I've seen enough evidence in his conversations where he's directly confronted about his opinions, where he basically will almost admit, like, I don't care if it's woke or not, I'm gonna assume it's woke because that's what's, like, profitable.
It's not really profitable, per se.
No. Oh, wait, he's the guy? Oh, okay.
What?
Okay. Okay. Oh God.
Yeah.
I am out of the
I don't know
loop.
why Rag gets butt hurt so hard. Like, everyone does that to Rag when they disagree with him. They just completely take him out of context consistently.
Well, to be fair, dare I say, I hit everything debate.
Well, I don't know why that just happens to Rags more than anyone else.
What? What?
Yeah. Well, if
Nothing
Rags
else.
gets that treatment, Mauler gets the treatment where they just won't watch the video and they'll assume what's in it. Rags gets the treatment where they will watch the video and then just chop it into pieces and cut them off and all of that.
And then Fringy is just forgotten.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. What the fuck? He's doing
Naturally. Yeah.
This will take
They want a 30-minute Atreus meeting in the game.
No,
Boy.
Poor guys. I could.
Imagine getting spanked by Mjolnir. The rod of correction.
Nah, bro. Nah, man, it's those fucking brawly hands just fucking. I'm like thinking of like the videos of like people modding the first real fight in God of War 1 against the immortal guy. What's his name?
It's
Like
been on
you
too
know
long
how
since I played it.
yeah, but the first fight. Yeah, like people mod him out for mod the character models out for like different characters to create memes. Like now I'm just thinking of somebody fucking modeling Atreus instead, and you just fighting Atreus.
They just put Atreus's head on his body, so he's got this little baby head on this big muscular fucking little peanut up top.
Those negotiations were short indeed.
Fuck. Make that. I'll pay like full DLC DLC if you actually like mocap and animate that shit. I'll pay you guys.
Guys, I gotta go.
All right,
No.
have a great night.
All right, take care, mate.
Gotta say good
I
night.
hope you have nightmares.
You know what? I'm gonna not have nightmares just to spite.
Papa, I tell you, I need a list of people that you're close to that I can turn against you. Okay, so just provide me that. I appreciate it.
I got bad news. I lost all of those when I got married.
Oh, damn.
It's just the wife. Okay, well, give me your wife's phone number so I can slowly
God.
serpent tongue her.
Nah.
You're gonna have to, I'll give you her ad when we hang out there. She's on Discord now and then. Alright.
Wow.
It's all good.
I'm very curious to now meet this mysterious woman that actually decided to hang out with
A
me.
worm got the beautiful opportunity to talk to her for quite a while.
I could. It was so wholesome. I could never bring myself to interfere with the. It was beautiful. No way in a million years would I fuck with that.
I want to do it. Can I?
Right.
Why don't you go for it?
I'll say good night. Cheers.
Good night, mate.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Bye, everybody. I'll miss you all. Bye.
We'll see us tomorrow. Wait, what? Is us? Oh no. Is he gonna die?
He's still convinced. How much he misses us, it could be determined, you know.
It's subjective.
The Spider-Man Far From Home meme where they're sitting next to each other. They're like, miss you more.
And it just keeps on going on for all eternity. One of them dies on stage.
Exactly. Well,
Yeah,
they broke
did
up
any
and-
of you watch the extended No Way Home?
No.
I don't
haven't
know
watched
if I
those
did or
movies.
didn't.
Because I only watched the normal one.
The MCU, so I just rewatched most of the MCU. I don't know if the one on Disney Plus is the extended or the regular.
It was on Netflix at some. I think it was actually on Disney Plus too.
It didn't give me an option, but I also, from what I remember, every version of the movie that I've seen every time I've rewatched it has been basically the same version. So
I remember there being an
never
extended version with 1 or 2 scenes at the start that they added, but I just couldn't fucking go through it. That movie just
you don't like
drains my
No Way
energy.
Home?
I don't really like it. It's pretty well done. It's just, I don't know. It just drains my soul watching it.
I don't have an issue with it. The main issue that I can think of is Nick Fury just buying into Mysterio. Like that seems to kind of take
That's
a
Away
pretty
From
significant
Home
character hit.
or Far From Home, not No Way Home. No Way
That's
Home
what
is
I said.
the.
I said Far From Home.
Oh, my bad.
Did I say No Way Home? No Way Home has way more fucking problems than Far From Home. Like,
Yeah. Oh no, I'm not talking about Far
I
From
like
Home.
Far From Home less than No Way Home, but objectively speaking, No Way Home has way more issues, even though I like that movie better.
Yeah. I like it about it too. Yeah, it has way more problems. Like, first
It's
off,
all the
mechanical
Doctor Strange bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That.
From the distant year of 1993.
You know, at this point, Doctor Strange is a fucking cancer. The moment that guy enters into any movie, it will break it because of how overpowered he is and how he can.
They just keep using him as a Deus Machina, like a plot point, rather than like exploring his character, which is really fucking frustrating. Because I really like the Doctor Strange from Phase 2 and Phase 3. For the most part, there's still problems, but at some point they started writing him like he's a brainlet. Like I have difficulty with the movie insisting he's as intelligent as he is, and then seeing the choices he's making with his abilities. It's like, are you fucking what, mate? You know, like what?
Are you seriously gonna just drag the fucking spaghetti monster with chains instead of doing anything else?
Well, even in like the Iron Man movies, like his intelligence consistently is on like this sliding scale, tilting towards a downward, being less and less intelligent as those movies go on. Yeah.
What?
Fuck that. That's bad faith. What the fuck? Yeah.
What the fuck? Wait. How did you even
That's terrible. I'm sorry that happened to you, Kano.
How did you get in? Or you didn't. Oh my god. I swear to god, anyone who touches that pierces. Oh wow, look at you.
Well, I still like
YouTube
Doctor
Celebrity.
Strange to Multiverse of Madness more than the Eternals, even though the Eternals is technically, objectively a better movie. I mean,
the Eternals
if we use
better?
the objective metric, if we use the objective metric of consistency, Eternals is more consistent until you get to the third act versus Doctor Strange is just all over the fucking place.
Uh-huh.
But I still like Doctor Strange.
I was
more.
forced to watch that shit. I thought it was pretty inconsistent for a bit.
It was
like
just
the
until you get to the third act.
I thought even in the start, like, how the fuck have you been around for so long yet you haven't done anything to help literally anybody else?
Yeah.
No, they established why they're not meant to interfere with human beings and human conflicts. So
which
they've been
is bullshit
around,
because
but
they
haven't
constantly
really
do.
been meaningful.
Yeah, it's so
It
bullshit
gets more
because
confusing in the third act when the humans start treating them like they're heroes. Like the Indian guy who's the butler. He's like, "Thank you for everything you've done," or "You guys are the best," or something. Like, what have they done though? Like, why would you think that about them?
You're not saying it in the correct accent.
You do it.
I'll put that burden on you, Joe.
Thank you, Roman, for driving my cow. It is so happy.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Now my daughter can go and marry the other man. Oh, okay. Oh wait, no, I got a better one. Can my daughter marry you? Like, you know, she's good. She's single. That's what I think they'll do. They'll just fucking advertise their children.
Yeah.
I see you're on. You're saving the world and all that, so you need a nice good wife, cookie pie and dosha, all that nice stuff, samosas and stuff.
She will do each and everything for you.
Yes. Fuck,
yeah, no. So I think Eternals is more, I guess, logically coherent, especially outside of the third act overall. I don't think it's good, but it sort of like spends less time violating its own rules for what we've established until you get to that third act versus Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Like, it violates the movies that came before, the shows that came before, it violates the characters that are established in canon, it violates its own rules of the things. It's like, oh, this is how this works, and it ignores it.
Something. Is Wolverine becoming in person?
I don't know. The writers don't know. The writers don't know. Incursions are a thing that they played with, I guess, and then they just dropped entirely.
They realized that
shit,
Marvel
the
was...
whole main character rule of like each universe has its own main character. Like that comes out of fucking nowhere. Yeah. So I mean, like, dude, I have no fucking idea. Who's the main character of the MCU? Now that Tony Stark is dead, does that mean that the world is gonna die in like 100 years?
Nah,
I don't know.
listen,
Nobody fucking knows.
It is Adolf Hitler who was the main
God,
character.
don't. Where are you going with that one, mate?
Jesus Christ. And so when Jesus Christ died, like the whole universe is doomed because he was the main character.
He started us on this journey.
How dare he? He is both our.
I don't.
Why have you?
I don't like Deadpool and Wolverine. I the whole TSA bullshit. Like, I do not want to see the TSA ever again. I don't. I want him to go away and just never be mentioned.
Dude,
Anything
don't
from
you
the
mean
TV show, just
TSA?
go away. What, the Times Agency?
TVA.
Whatever they're fucking.
Oh, I was so confused. Like TSA. What the fuck is TSA?
TVA.
Yeah, the TVA.
I don't know what their acronym is.
Yeah, fair enough.
Oh my
I just want them to not be involved in anything going forward. Just I want to forget.
I was too distracted by the charisma of Deadpool to actually realize the massive fucking holes that those bastards were causing. Oh my god.
Well, the thing that's upsetting is, like, this is supposed to be the worst version of Wolverine, and all he did was go and get drunk and then came back to have, like, anti-mutant people killed the X-Men. I'm like, really? In the comics, we have versions of him that he goes berserk and does way worse shit than that. Like, I can think of a million situations in which the worst version of Wolverine is a million times worse than this version.
You know why they couldn't make it that worse, or else we wouldn't have our new Wolverine.
Be a masochist.
I still think even staying within the PG-13 rating, you could explain in the infinite multiverse, you could create a version of this character that is basically worse, because they do say he's the worst version, right? And they vocalize that. And we know we have an infinite multiverse, and it doesn't take very many hypotheticals for your brain to create before you find one that's genuinely worse. And so I was just like, I can't believe that this is the worst one. For that?
What about a Wolverine that helped Thanos?
Yeah, exactly. Boom. You just, off the top of your head, you've already thought of a worse Wolverine, and that, because of the nature of the multiverse being infinite, that Wolverine does exist on the continuum. He's out there in the universe.
Yeah, I mean, oh my god.
It's so stupid.
Yeah, but
the anger.
But I mean, fuck it. Stop doing this to me. You're making me think about that fucking movie, and I'm starting to realize it's starting to not be as good as I remember it. No.
It's got problems. It's got big problems. It's definitely the weakest of the Deadpool movies.
That is an understatement beyond our corporeal reality. Oh god. Like, I like the jokes. I think. God, I don't want to rewatch that movie because I think if I rewatch it, I'm gonna realize, this is much more shit.
Some of the jokes are okay, you know, like some of them are, you know, how much you like the jokes is entirely subjective. So I'm not gonna fight you on that. I will say from my watch through, I only liked like maybe one or two of the jokes.
I'm a fairly jolly guy. It doesn't really take that much effort to make me giggle and laugh. But like, I mean, the chemistry was pretty good.
Ryan Reynolds and Wolverine had good chemistry. It's just I want that chemistry in a better story.
Yes. Yeah. Oh god, the more I think.
We spend so much time on bullshit.
They brought the fucking fart monster back. Why did you do that, guys? Just why?
Well, why did you bring Wolverine into this, and then he meets Gambit, who is another X-Men, and they basically don't have anything to say to each other?
Who's Gambit?
Channing Tatum.
Can you explain
He's the
superpower?
card guy.
Gambit is the one with the explosive
To
cards.
kinetically charge inanimate objects and throw them as like explosive, explosives.
I legit thought he was like a Doctor Strange kind of fucking magician. I thought he was like a fucking sorcerer or something. I didn't know he was a mutant.
No, he's an X-Men.
Oh fuck. God, what are X-Men anymore? Are they
interact as if they don't know each other the whole movie?
Would they know each other?
Yeah.
Well, if it is a Wolverine that's from a team of X-Men that didn't have a Gambit, that's fine. But there would then be an interesting conversation to be had about like what was different about your X-Men as opposed to mine. Like they just don't acknowledge each other. It's like like if you're Iron Man in one universe and then you have another Iron Man from a different universe and they're like, oh, we both have a version of the Avengers. Both these people probably know a lot of the same people from different universes. They probably know a Storm, they probably know Xavier, etc. Gambit has nothing to say about the fact that Cassandra is Xavier's twin. Like,
just next to the
he doesn't. He's just there to be a joke. He's not a character, and that's so fucking annoying.
Yeah, wait. Why does she decide to become evil all of a sudden when she had control over that place for a long ass time? What propelled her
she's
to
just
be?
Machiavellian. She's just like hates people or whatever.
She just wants to.
He has a
burn
deal with the
world down?
TVA.
Oh, god damn it. Okay, I have to not be crazy, but everybody noticed the bad CGI Wolverine when they jumped outside the window, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it always looks weird when he has the mask on, for sure.
Like at that moment, it was just like, why the fuck? I even noticed it, and that's saying something because I don't notice flaws when I'm watching. But like everybody noticed the fucking horrible CGI, and everyone was like, why am I looking at a fucking PS3 Game Boy version of the Wolverine in this shot? Kinda, fucking.
I think the problem with the movie is that it's not that it's a bad movie necessarily, even though it has serious problems. It's more so that the amount of potential that was on the table for what this movie could have been, it doesn't even touch 1% of the potential for the component that they're working with.
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck. Is there any video? Can we do a watch?
I'm down. I'm not doing nothing.
Hey, Stuno. Pull up one of your retarded videos. Let's have a look.
Oh my god.
Let me go through my catalog real quick.
What? What the fuck?
Why, I haven't seen one of these since I was a boy.
Maybe. Oh god, Papa should have been here. He would have liked all of these videos.
What videos are you watching?
I am unable to help, but another solution will reveal itself, I'm sure.
please spare my child. The most retarded thing I've seen so far is the Birdman's video on Critical Drinker. That's the most retarded thing.
And that's retarded light, Joel. I'm telling you right now, it gets way worse than that on the internet.
I mustn't let my guard down like that.
Oh. Okay. Alright, fine, let's do it. Fuck it. Alright, put up the watch.
Where's the watch together link?
Me?
No, you can. You can join watch together on that's how Worm is on mobile as well.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll set it up. I'll set it up for you.
It's always unsettling
Have
seeing
you ever been
troopers
to a
within
watch
the
together?
district. From what I can see, they aren't here on vacation, so I wonder what they found.
Okay.
That sounds like
Okay,
a
maybe
bad time. I don't know about you, but
that just sounds.
Shit.
God. Can you give me? Can you give me the?
Yeah.
Can you give me the video link? Just give me the straight video link. I must read. Oh, there it is. Oh, okay. I was like, when I saw that, I was like, that looked like a reasonable thing. All right. I also put the watch together link, so everybody join. Or those who join.
Okay, boomer.
Okay, fuck. I really need to make an account. You're not. Are you joining Delta?
I'm playing a game right now, so
All right. Then just have enjoyment in our streams.
Yeah, I can see it. I can already hear that this guy needs a fucking pop filter. All he said so far is that there is an Overton window.
Oh my god. Oh
So that's
my
20
god.
seconds to say there is an Overton window.
Wait a minute, is this actually? Is this actually how the guy sounds like? I thought he was reading a recording, like an old time.
No, he needs a pop filter. He needs a fucking pop filter.
Oh my god.
I can hear his fucking mouth noises. It's gonna drive me insane this whole video. I can already tell. You guys started again?
Huh?
Okay, I was just checking.
Okay. Wait, so what has he said so far? Because he's saying it in such a low monotone voice and with such fancy words, like I'm actually not following. But that's retarded. But that's retarded because because other nations exist and other people exist. Oh my god.
Well, he's also making a false.
Yeah.
Well, it's also retarded because he's comparing us the modern dynamic to medieval times where blasphemy would get you burnt as a witch, and so there was a stricter enforcement policy. Yeah. Okay. I guess it's the same thing. We're just...
I haven't seen one of these since I was a boy.
I do hope Jedi Master Yariel Koof is having fun on Kamino. He seems to have been there for some time.
Why did he say the elites and truth regime and then focus on the Mona Lisa? Like, what does that have to do with what he was saying?
Oh my god, you're right.
It sounds so much dumber from my perspective because it's out of fucking full context too. Like, how the fuck did we get from elites to Mona
like,
Lisa?
What does this have to do with what you're saying? Like, I don't understand.
It's even more bizarre for me.
I mean, it's a little bit of a reach. I'm willing to give that a pass, but it's still strange to like zoom in on and hang on the Mona Lisa for like 5 seconds.
No, wait. Yeah. Oh wow, this guy, wow, he's an intellectual, I see. And also, we're forgetting
He's a smarty
the Mona Lisa. The Mona Lisa is white. You know, she's white, so you know, definitely a clear indicator of the elites. Fucking.
I'm sorry, this guy, he feels like he's the dictator from V for Vendetta.
Or he sounds like somebody from fucking
Straight up sounds
1984.
like, yeah, something like, this is the guy that you find in the vault in Fallout, and he's like, and I still say he needs a fucking pop filter. I keep hearing his lip noises, and it's it makes me unhappy.
You know, don't you know that deep voice? Fuck, I can't even do it because I have such high quality mic, even than him, for fuck's sakes.
You just hear when he said like B's and P's, like he blew, like you can hear that like pop.
Hmm.
That
What
laugh
is
out of
even
context.
thinkable, my guy?
Oh my fucking god!
Have you ever had a thinkable before?
What is thinkable? Wait.
Hold on,
There
pause.
ain't no way.
Fellas, do you guys
There ain't
remember
no
when you
way.
were talking about the female Yoda that fucking speaks normally?
Yeah.
I just got a mission from her.
Have
Have you come in search of further training?
Yodel, whatever her name is.
I can
Yaddle.
offer challenges to those who seek them.
It's still not as good as Red Pill Yoda.
Seek
Red Pill
out a
Yoda is still the
canyon
most
crate
base version of
dragon
Yoda.
in the desert of
Red Pill Yoda?
Only a true warrior possesses the strength and will to defeat a dragon. Are you a true warrior? A strong will, I sense.
I'm sorry,
in you.
what? Please tell me he doesn't
Is that
get
where he's going with this? But there are plenty of people that are neo-Nazis and that do find it very eminently thinkable to think about the Nazis.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Okay. Who is this regime? What is the nationality of this regime? Where is this regime?
Well, he's conspiratorial. He thinks that like the common consensus was arrived at not because of, you know, an understanding of history, but because there was a narrative that the people were brainwashed into assuming. Yeah, that's that's where I anticipate he's going based off of what you
say that
have
again?
said.
Say that again? I didn't hear it.
If what he's saying is true, then it's always been unthinkable. Like, human beings are just never going to be capable of reaching a point where they can create a consensus of truth, because we're ultimately always going to be sheep. And so, and like, excuse me, Boomer Truth, like Mr. Man, like, how did you escape the bubble if that's the case?
I was about to say that. Like, are you like advertising yourself or something for these boomers? He's like, guys, listen, I broke out of it. I want to be in your club.
I am smarter than you.
There's more new information in my databases.
Oh, and he was part of the elite, but he's enlightened.
So the only way that he's been enlightened is because there's a civil war among the upper echelons of society, and he's now on the side of. This is so retarded already. You were right. This is special.
Oh, that's fuck.
You're just spoiling it.
Renegade.
Oh Lord.
Oh my god, is he actually so egotistical he's calling himself a renegade intellectual? Oh my fucking god.
I don't even know.
I made that as a fucking joke. And I'm not even watching.
Having trouble getting the canyon crate dragon to show itself? Apparently there's a specific way to goad it into coming out. Tuscan raiders dancing. They hate it! True story. Yep. If you...
Well, I mean, there's an element of truth to that. Like, almost everything we do as human beings is primarily going to be focused on utility. Like, how functional is this? Including, like, language. Like, words that we don't have utility in tend to disappear. We don't use them anymore.
Hello, Luffy.
What utility is there in Skibidi Toilet? Tell me.
Apparently some. You know, some people are getting out of it, but... it's more so in terms of linguistics, less so in arts, but because like things can be funny and they serve the utility of funny. So Skibidi Toilet is funny to some people, and so it's achieving its goal at making them laugh. Yeah.
Maybe Anakin was right about the Jedi.
What's the funny story? You just said funny story and then you stopped. What? What?
Skibidi Toilet was a tie-up. I heard about that. Yeah. They're scared a fucking head is gonna pop up and it's skibbity boop 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 boop.
Wait, does that mean Skibidi Toilet? Oh my god. Oh.
That's so fucking funny. It's subversive. Yeah. It is. It's fucking traumatizing kids for potty training. It's a psyop. Yeah, we're trying to. They're trying to reduce us into accepting living without toilets and eating crickets. They're trying to take our toilets away from us. Toilets is only a luxury for the bourgeois.
I am so fucking confused.
Those disgusting proletariats, they don't even deserve the toilet.
Having trouble getting the canyon crate dry? Yep. If you can get a raider to bust a move,
If you won't go along with our new world order, we'll take
they'll
your
come
toilets
charging
from
at you
you.
till you wish you hadn't.
They must be punished.
Is he flying through an airplane or something? What's this fucking ambient noise?
Shitty microphone settings?
It's like a droning evil soundtrack. It's like the, you know, it's
so fucking
it's meant to
annoying.
be sinister. Like what he's talking about is so of such importance that he has to set the stage and that how malevolent this upper ball of intellectuals are.
Ah, I see. And this is one of his
Well,
tactics.
I just don't know how you have it's the contradiction immediately is if these things are unthinkable and you can't break away from the Overton window, you still haven't addressed how the rebellion of intellectuals at the upper echelons have split into two factions if these things were unthinkable in the first place. Well, no, I understand how to disseminate those ideas, but how would they have the ideas in the first place to disseminate if they are...
Fucking up.
I understand that, but that's my problem. That's the contradiction that I'm highlighting, is if they control everything in every way, there would never be an ability for a separate faction to splinter off because they would be under the same understanding or level of control.
So when you mean everything, you actually mean us.
If that's the case, then they wouldn't split into two factions. They would just be against each other in totality. So you would have 6 factions instead of, like, if you had 6 people. Okay.
Oh my god.
Go for it.
My powers you'll be no match for me.
Guys, having a family is a bad. That is a product of the truth regime. Yeah, it's a truth regime. Fucking Papa with his 2 children. It is.
Wait, so he's in favor of the old truth regime. He likes the old guys. He doesn't like the new guys. Why? Why would you want this at all? You don't have to just serve truth in general, not like the truth masters. Like, just bypass.
More
this.
accurately, he wants
this?
to be the truth master because, in a way, he's actually doing the same thing they're doing. He's selectively choosing the correct truth to follow. You know.
This is sort of the red pill problem, where he's observed a couple of elements that may be accurate, and then maybe a few that he's reading too deep into, and then he's going to make a bunch of conclusions that have nothing to do and are not supported by the observations. This is the same thing like the red pill people. Yeah. Well, it's like the red pill people when they talk about like evolutionary psychology, and it's like, okay, there are elements of this that are accurate, and then they make a bunch of conclusions in terms of how you should behave with this understanding that is actually like corrosive to human relationships. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So be a predator, and you will live your best life. Go, I release you back into the
That
wild.
sounds so fucking wrong on so many levels.
Be a predator.
Oh god.
Oh my, no, please, don't do this. Wait, he doesn't like that? Oh my god. What the fuck? Wait, what the fuck is wrong with this person? So he's like against other like absolute
He's an
power.
extremist.
But for like both sides in a way? Like he doesn't like. So wait, he doesn't.
He wants us to be sheep, but he wants us to be sheep for the right people.
Okay, yeah, no, that makes sense, yeah.
You don't want a bunch of self-expressive sheep, okay? Sheep with the fro, that's not acceptable.
Don't worry. The force will guide us.
He wants cultural hegemony. You know, he doesn't want a heterogenic culture. He wants more like what you have in Japan, where it's all the same people. They all think the same things, and there's like a hive mind.
Hive mind with his current. He's a communist. Won't be surprised.
Oh, wait!
No, that's being your sheep for the wrong people.
What's the other way? Oh, okay.
Well, it's one of those horseshoe things where you go far enough left or right, you eventually end up back in the position. So he is like he has ended up in the position of communism by going away from it.
Losing power. Stay calm. We're not in trouble yet.
But guys, don't you get it? Our modern reality is so deprived. There's a Asian woman fucking skippily dancing in red light. Can't you see?
Dude, it really is. It's like you don't realize that your own bias, like it's the same thing. The lesser version of this argument that I run into when I get into debates is you are coming to the conclusions that you are in this argument because of your white perspective or your cultural perspective. Like, you are not a reasonable individual. You don't have your own agency in terms of the things that you believe. You're only operating from a framework of what you've been exposed to. And so you will never actually be able to be correct because your thought process is corrupt. And you know, and so you're automatically wrong. But he's taking this in sincerity as like he actually believes humans are like this, and so no human has ever been able to break free of their own bias to arrive at elements of truth. They're ultimately just running programs that have been given to them by the cabal. His view of humans is seriously misanthropic and seriously like actually kind of terrifying if this is what he thinks.
God. Somebody should give him absolute power, see what he does.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay, you know what? Let's see the. You know what? Let's see this. Let's see this.
Well, he's already stated that bias when he said like the old order was correct or whatever. But more importantly, what I'm having more of an issue with is that he's talking about humanity in a way that dehumanizes people, like in general. It's like at no point did you ever understand that a human being wasn't what you thought it was. Instead, it was just a sheep. It is just nobody ever thought anything for themselves. They just did what they were told.
And here's the thing,
Besides the elite, yeah, you can only think if you have enough money. Once you have enough money, then you can think.
And of course, you have to be white.
Yeah, exactly. But you just get enough money that you become a person.
Wait. In that same frame of logic, does that mean OnlyFans girls are actually smarter than us because
yes,
more money?
If they're successful, yeah. And the more money you are, the more money you have, the smarter you are. This is insane. This is some. This is some weapons grade retard right here, man. Like this is what leveled Ukraine. They just played a couple of videos.
Get to your ships.
He'll be safe there.
My guess is the Viceroy is in the throne room.
But that's my shit!
Oh my god, so he's anti-US?
We'll take the long way.
He's against the United States.
I think he's...
I thought he was from a Bond movie, if I was just going based off the accent, but... In the content of what he's saying.
Wait, he was talking about something.
This is just sort of like the lasers coming towards James Bond. He's strapped to the table. He's like, "Don't you see, Mr. Bond? People are people.
And remember your training.
They can't think. The poor people have no mind, Mr. Bond. They just do what I tell them."
Oh fuck.
I'm back.
Who's this person?
That's John Lennon, right? Yeah, it's John Lennon. I know, but why is he showing us John Lennon for like a minute while playing a John Lennon song?
Wait, no. Yeah, you know, what did he say? Yeah, you guys like kind of talked over what he was saying.
Sorry.
Why is John Lemon licking his lips? Why is he licking the fucking telephone? Is he sex?
I mean, that is strange, but he has basically just shown like John Lennon in normal John Lennon activities, where it's like John Lennon was wrong about this, and then it just shows him like eating a burger or something. Just like, what did he? I don't know what I'm supposed to get about this. Yeah, but that's a different claim than John Lennon is an operator that's trying to psyop through his art for the cabal. Like, John Lennon is a useful idiot, is what he's saying. Okay.
Oh my god. It'll be funny if he just plays the whole song. And that's like most of his fucking video because he can't figure out how to make it more than 10 minutes. Oh, please spare me.
What? Oh my god. Okay, how long is this gonna go for? He's denying me! How dare he?
I
You
just...
know...
John, you could have been the force. You're supposed to bring balance to the force, not destroy it, John.
You know what? You know what? You know, I bet it's so petty. You know what it could have been? It could have been like this music was playing in his prom. When obviously he got rejected by the girl he had a crush on.
He's been like
because of how
emotionally
fucking
traumatized in a way where John Lennon was present.
Huh? Well, we all know the truth, of course. The truth regime talking. Oh my! You know, what does this man look like?
It's just such a strange, like, unless this is the music video, it's just so strange to just see him doing a normal thing. It's just John Lennon on the phone, like. No. Why would you play, like, if I was creating this video and I wanted to support this narrative, I would put strong classic literature imagery of like the masses being subjected and having like meaning stripped away from. There's tons of artistic renderings of like Dante's Inferno.
He's playing with us. Come on, we mustn't let him get away.
Yeah. I mean,
or maybe he chose this footage because it made him look stupid. Like look at down level, having a telephone or whatever the fuck that is next to his bed. And
you believe in yourself? You believe in yourself more than religion or governments? Nerd.
Nerd. Weeb. No, hippie. He's a hippie.
What are you, some kind of evil doer?
Are you the reason Stephanie didn't come to my prom? Huh? Where were you? What did you tell her? That's where it all began. Stephanie.
What the fuck?
But fucking get this music video over with. And YouTube will like destroy the smallest creators making genuine points that have music in them. What the fuck is that? What? You're actually fucking good.
Oh man.
No.
That's not that, for YouTube, that's not like super successful though. Like on the scale of most successful, like Markiplier and PewDiePie having like millions, like 50 million.
I'm more concerned about like if he has like that many people, like there has to be a good 2,000.
Yo, you guys pick up.
Oh, sorry. No. I'm more concerned that there are at least a few thousand people who genuinely believes his retardation. That's what I'm kind of concerned about.
Not. If you told me that there are 150,000 morons in the United States, I'd be like, yeah, probably. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Maybe Hannigan was right about the
And what the fuck is... I swear to God, if you... Oh my God,
yeah.
don't do another Figment.
He's gonna play the whole fucking song and not like, and then he's gonna break it down after the fact. But yes, there is a healthy middle point between like personal accountability and as for John Lennon, he completely ignores the whole drama between him and the band that he's clearly referencing in the song of he's found his new family, so he believes in his new family. He doesn't believe in his old family, which has nothing to do with like a political context, even though it's interlaced with some of the political and religious observations he's making. Is we're just gonna ignore that. He said the Beatles. I don't believe in the Beatles. We're gonna pretend like that's a part of it. Okay. Cool.
Okay. Cool.
We'll overcome this obstruction.
Well, the Beatles' statements in terms of the content of their music and John Lennon's content is not that different. So you need to address it because a lot of what he's saying here, the Beatles would have said as well. And if that was the intent of John Lennon, he would have not included the Beatles line. That's what's confusing about like looking at it in this way, only through this particular lens.
I'm gonna just fast forward a bit here. Oh, this is good. Alright. Sorry.
See, like this is sort of the thing Sargon of Akkad talks about, and it's like this critique I do kind of agree with, but only in a balanced perspective, which is that you cannot strip like history out of man or your place in society. But he's going like way farther into the depths of extremity where one, I don't think that's anyone's goal, like to try to like, I mean some people's goal, but I don't believe that there's a couple of people that are trying to like remove our identities from us. I don't. It's like he's gone to a batshit degree with the sort of mission statement. That's kind of what I'm getting at.
Yeah. He's like an extremist. Oh. Oh god. Oh god.
Well, the whole point of making a statement like no one has died for my sins is that I'm personally accountable. It's an argument against sins of the father. Like we should be in favor of this because he's against, as far as I assume, he's against some of the woke elements of like we're gonna blame you for slavery forever even though you had no part in it.
Yeah.
I mean that's my guess. What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, fuck off. Please tell me he's not gonna
It all began with Nietzsche.
Wait. Is he gonna... It all began with the black shirts and their march on. And they had something really going for them. Them black shirts and their... You know who the black shirts were, right?
Be on guard and remember your training,
Who is this? This is...
So uncivilized.
Okay, let him explain his words.
He's fleeing. We have company.
Oh my god. Please tell me he's not actually arguing that Adolf Hitler is evil or something?
I don't even know what he's saying. He seems so confused in what he's trying to get at because he's trying to form a narrative towards a specific conclusion that he's fucking lost in the sauce. Oh, yeah. the ultimate evil against it would be the uniformity, but again, like, self-expression is fine up until a point. You still have to abide by the social contract.
But you see, Adolf Hitler was such a Giga Chad, fucking matrix breaking masculine guy that he broke out of their control, and that's why everybody hates him.
Is that a video defending Hitler or something? What the fuck?
Yes.
Is that what he's getting at?
I mean,
I don't know. I'm just listening to y'all, and suddenly we're talking about Lenin and Hitler for 5 minutes.
Well, I don't know how we get to the point where we have two opposite figures. Like, Lenin is the opposite of Hitler, but they're both bad.
So extreme on both sides. That's basically it.
I think he's drowning in cognitive dissonance. I think is kind of like the the way that that's my read.
He's playing with us. Come on, we mustn't let him get away.
No, Hitler was not against globalism. Just in point of fact, he was in trying to install a global regime. I mean, it's not like he had a globalist agenda, but he, you know, if you asked Hitler, would you like to rule the entire planet? Obviously, he would check the yes box. Yeah, of course.
He would.
Right.
He wanted.
If you were to say like Alexander the Great was trying to take over the planet more so in terms of like goals, like I would be okay with that. He's at the same party, you know what I mean? Like still hanging out with the. He's not that different.
My thighs couldn't manage it. Let's find another way to reach it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. Yeah. I just referring to him as not a globalist, like probably not in the definition that is modernly used globally, but I absolutely would be like he is a globalist. He would fall under the definition of globalist.
You know, when my school, when I was small, was teaching us about tolerance and globalism, I should have raised my hand and said, "Oh, is it like how Adolf Hitler encouraged globalism?" Yeah, really interesting.
My Hero Academia, Adolf Hitler edition.
I am unable to help, but another solution will reveal itself, I'm sure.
That is a hard whiplash tonally from Hitler's regime to Dancing Woman in Red Light. I fucking sprayed my neck with that one. I don't. This is a. I think his 150,000 people probably just subbed because he broke their brain. What's that? Yeah. Well, he's sort of like a Rorschach test, where I could imagine a bunch of people coming in with their bias and their already freeformed perspective, and then he's so confusing with the shit he's like saying that they're like, he probably thinks what I think. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, you could apply, you know, just because of his, like, loose use of language, and it, like, is sort of like, I don't even know what your point is. You're not being very clear or specific.
Language.
Yeah, you just be like, yeah, I think I agree.
Yeah, he's right. He's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Red is a bad color.
I do not like Hitler. You know.
Wow.
You hit the thumbs up button.
No, wait, isn't it?
Damn, it's almost like I don't actually have my own thoughts at all. You know, he might be right. I've consumed too much MCU. I can't think anymore. I need to get more money so I can remember how to think. Can't break free if I don't have enough money to think. We're just not going to talk about Russia or China, I guess. That's just, we're not going to mention them. The left wing is always good and the right is always evil. Oh, okay, we're just not going to... Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I thought right good for individualism and like you know freedom.
No, absolutely. I agree with you, Sana. Like, it's not this simple. Like, you're simplifying it to a point that just confirms your own fucking bias by like choosing to ignore elements that are inconvenient.
It is the left that is like actively trying to implement hate laws.
I just want to post in the comments of this video both the left and the right are capable of authoritarianism. It's sort of just like the brick to throw through his window and this whole fucking piece of shit.
And then he...
Yeah. Maybe not so, maybe so. Yeah, no, this does remind me of a lot of the like conversations I've had with monarchists, where it's like we can go back and forth, and they're like, "But what if is a god king, like the divine ruler? Like that never happens though. You're so lucky if you get a ruler that doesn't suck." Or doesn't suck to the extent of like extreme abuse. Like even the okay one still did fucked up shit. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly, yeah. Yeah, 100%, yeah. To fucking make you go cross-eyed.
Oh my god. And so we should vote Donald Trump. Suppose.
We can't confirm if George Bush is right wing, guys. We don't know. Who could say?
It's almost like we have videos upon videos and notes on him.
Supposed.
Alleged.
Allegedly right wing. I think I just got my new screen name.
Oh my god, that would actually be an amazing name for a channel. Allegedly right wing.
Allegedly right wing, yeah. Especially in this modern, you know. This is the modern discourse. That would be the
allegedly
most
racist
fucking thing.
Allegedly Star Wars enjoyer.
I am unable to help.
You would stand for that kind of stuff.
No, so he gets to be in the position where he can say all people are sheep and everyone is just doing what the oligarchs are telling them to do. But I can also choose, and without having to justify it, which ones are good or bad. And so I want the system to stay the same. I just want my team in charge. Basically, that he's put himself in this position where he can be the arbiter of these things. Again, fucking Hitler opposing globalism. I just stop saying it. Stop saying that thing. Hitler opposed diversity. He was a hegemonic, force, of course, but it's one of those terms where it's like when you say, "Oh, globalist," it's like, okay, define that. You have to define that because that could mean so many different things.
He just wanted to spread his national values of controlling the people, and that only a selective people are allowed to globally.
He just wanted to spread Jew love globally.
Oh, wait a minute. Isn't George? Wait. The guy who's
Jordan Peterson. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think he pretty much is, but.
Yeah. So like, wouldn't he not agree with him?
No, I don't think Jordan Peterson would agree with anything he said so far.
No. No, what I meant is like.
He's saying that they're splintering off, and that we're in the midst of seeing a new truth regime in terms of the intellectual elite forming a new Overton window, and Jordan Peterson would be part of the new intellectual that's sort of breaking away from the narrative.
I want him to unironically do an IQ test.
What's that?
I just want him to do an IQ test.
After he's done with the IQ test, he might probably ask for a second opinion.
Is he gonna say that because Lenin attacked the truth regime head on, he got assassinated? Is